We'll just kind of introduce everybody. Says we are live right now. What's up, everybody? Welcome to another Oklahoma Archery podcast. We are at the Autry Technology Center in Enid, America. We're sitting in tonight on Rack Madness, and I got Mr. Marshall Ray here. He is one of our game wardens here in Oklahoma. And Marshall, would you like to introduce yourself? Tell everybody where you're from.
I'm Marshall Ray. I'm the game warden up in Medford and Grant County.
Grant County. That's way out in, as we call Big Deer Country, is it not?
There's a couple good deer up there.
Couple of good ones.
Yeah. A lot of good deer came in tonight already too.
Oh yeah, we got a pile of them over there. If y'all can see if we can get some of these camera angles on them. We got a couple of different camera angles. You can see they're over there. They are over there scoring the deer right now. You guys can come out 6 till 9 if you're in the area. It's just a come and go event. And tell everybody just kind of what Rack Madness is. What's it promoting? What's it all about?
We're just trying to provide an avenue for our local sportsmen up here that don't have to drive to the city, and get their deer scored down there, drive to Tulsa. A lot of the guys at Northwest Oklahoma, they can just slide in here to Enid. We got 6 or 7 game wardens here right now just scoring deer. I just saw a nice antelope come in. There could be a nice bull, I heard. I had a guy call me about an elk.
Okay.
So we're just providing a local scoring for the people in Northwest Oklahoma, all of our constituents up here.
Okay. So for everybody like me that's never killed a deer, really worth talking about. What is an official score? How does a deer, I know they have to dry out for a period. So
Correct. That's why we do it this time of the year. Once hunting season's over, they got to have a 60-day drying period.
Okay.
And then we just measure the length of the main beams, the circumferences, and the tine length, and subtract the ones that don't match and come up with a number. Sometimes we break a few hearts. People have a little bit higher number than what we come up with officially. But
you ever see them come in low?
I have. No, I had a woman bring me a deer one time. It was the first deer she'd ever killed, and it was 11 inches inside spread and scored 202 and 5/8.
Okay.
Yeah, it was a hammer. She said, "Is that good?" I said, "Yes, ma'am. That's a real good one."
That's a good deer.
It was a monster.
So how many years have you all done Rack Madness out here?
This is just our second year here at Autry scoring deer. I've been I'm actually an official Boone and Crockett measurer, so I've scored deer all over the state, Kansas, and everywhere. But this is the second year we've had it at Autry. Last year, I think we did 90 deer in 3 hours. I mean, it was crazy. We had a lot of folks here.
That's a lot. So when they get their deer scored, that lets them go basically submit that animal to.
Yeah, we help them submit it online. It'll go if it meets the minimums for the state record book, then we'll submit it, and it'll go into our Oklahoma record book, which is called the Cy Curtis book, which was named after one of the main biologists to bring whitetail deer back to the state of Oklahoma.
So there's Cy Curtis. How do you tell the difference between a Pope and Young, an archery, and a Boone and Crockett being a gun?
So yeah, Pope and Young would be the national book for archery. Boone and Crockett would be for any deer, whether killed with an archery or a gun. They will accept archery deer. Boone and Crockett will even accept roadkill, anything. Boone and Crockett just is there to talk about the animal. Cy Curtis is our state book, so there's different numbers, different minimums. Obviously, Boone and Crockett is the hardest to obtain. Mm-hmm. They got to be 170 inches as a typical and 195 as a non-typical, which is a really big deer.
It is a big deer. So what's your number on Pope and Young? Is it 125?
Yes, 125 for net typical.
Okay. And then how does Cy Curtis fall in the middle of there? Is that
Cy Curtis would be 135 for typical and 155 for non-typical.
Okay.
And they can be taken with any legal weapon in Oklahoma.
Okay.
Gun, archery, muzzleloader.
There you go. So what coming off this year, is this the off season for game wardens?
Well, it's supposed to be the slow time of the year, but we've always, it seems like there's always something going.
Okay. Well, I was going to say, you got it. Right now they're fishing. Soon they'll be killing turkeys.
That's right.
And then it starts all over in the fall again.
Yeah, it just cycles back through.
Okay. So what was the biggest takeaway from this year's hunting season? Have you guys got to check the numbers yet? Was it something?
I think we were down. I don't think we had a record harvest this year, but more and more people are getting choosier about the type deer they shoot. More and more people are getting more selective. I've already measured multiple deer over 200 inches this year, so they killed some good ones.
It helps when you're up north. right on the Kansas line. Those deer can, in fact, we've checked with our biologist at the wildlife department, and deer cannot read road signs. So there's a good chance a lot of these bucks up north are coming down from Kansas genetics. So I've always been explained to it that the Kansas deer are a different breed than the Oklahoma deer. Is that true, myth,
I think
fact?
it's got a lot to do with agriculture.
Okay.
The same bean fields are on both sides of the line, especially in this whole northwest quadrant of the state. You need large land masses so deer can get age.
There you go.
The agriculture also helps. The healthier they are going into this time of the year, the better antlers they can grow next year. Which brings us to another point. We doe harvest. The best way to help your deer is make sure they're not breeding until January and February. Take your limited does, take some of the pressure off the landscape, keep your farmers happy, and trim those doe populations back so those bucks get done rutting in November. They can start recouping throughout the winter and grow a better rack next year.
I'm trying to find a number. I don't know what it is, but a doe eats X amount of food. Every doe eats X amount of food. Every doe you kill is X amount of inches your bucks are going to get to eat and grow next year. And
That's right.
You can't find a number to convince people to shoot enough does or harvest enough does, but everybody out here, they're dropping them like they're paid to do it, and it's showing off. Y'all gotta see some of these antlers walking in here. It's insane. And I mean, we think most of them are Oklahoma deer.
So far, everything I've talked to,
Yeah.
I had a guy, talking about the doe harvest thing, I had a guy that had a high fence, and he told me that you could take a 300-inch breeder buck and put it on 25 does, and he would get them all bred, and the next year that deer's 150 inches. And I think that's some of the problems we see in our really high deer density areas. Those bucks are just so ran down, they're not able to recoup and start growing. Right now they're shedding, and it's time to start growing another set of antlers.
Mm-hmm. As far as everybody out there that's trying to feed them, trying to corn them, trying to grow crops, what's the best time of year that these bucks? Is it right after the rut when they're worn down that they need that nutrients, or is it more important when they're growing the antlers?
Usually, once the rain starts, they get good quality browse. That helps. It's this time of the year when things are tough. When you see guys feeding protein and mineral and trying to help start that antler growth off.
Trying to get them a jump start for next year.
That's right.
Have you seen many of them dropping antlers already?
Absolutely, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Now they're falling by the day. I've seen a lot of sheds already.
Okay.
So, no, it's time. Our big deer up here will start right after Christmas.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right after Christmas. Okay, so yeah, it's Christmas.
We're way after that.
Yeah, I was gonna say they've been.
They'll be done by spring break. So I would say right now we're probably 80%.
Okay. And you see, patterns changing. They going back to normal. They coming out in daylight a little bit.
They're piled up on the ag fields. While we're on the subject of sheds, I would like to point out it is illegal to trespass to hunt sheds. Shed hunting has got to be super popular, and I've been having more and more issues every year, and it is a trespass to hunt sheds would be the same as trespassing to hunt deer. $770 ticket. So
Ooh, buddy.
if you're thinking about taking off on somebody's property and loading up their sheds, you might want to think twice.
I usually find most of mine in the tractor tire. That's
Those
where
are $1,200 a piece.
Yeah, I was gonna say $700 to save 12. Yeah, you might be doing old farmer a favor. Seeing
right.
glassing them from the road, you pull up behind somebody. You think about going over that fence? Yeah, I just think he might run over that with his big old tractor tire, man. I think that's the right thing to do. And
Just get permission.
yeah, I tell you what.
Nobody wants trespassers.
So what's one of the wildest stories you've heard about somebody shed hunting? You hear people going out looking for them, and some people say they're not really finding them. They're just throwing them down and videotaping themselves finding them. What's the craziest shed story you got?
Just the trespassing, guys dropping each other off, running from landowners, hiding sheds under bridges on roads, coming back and picking them up after dark. It's kind of got to be a little rush of people trespassing to shed hunt, and there's a financial value there. You're stealing from someone. Sheds have some value, and you're stealing from the landowner, and you're trespassing. But I've caught multiple people trespassing shed hunting, and I've got landowners that file charges on them.
I bet.
They's like, you're not welcome here. I bought this to hunt. My family likes to shed hunt, So it's just getting to be a bigger and bigger deal. For whatever reason, shed hunting's got really popular the last few years.
I got a buddy he's a big-time deer killer, and he feeds all the way through shed dropping season because he wants to find those 4.5, 5.5-year-olds. Because if he gets them next year, he goes, here he is at 4 and 5, and well, I shot him at 6. And
good deer hunters, it's a 12-month thing. They're
Yeah.
planning, they're shed hunting, it's a 12-month thing.
This is a fantastic turnout, you guys. We're going to be here for the next 3 hours. We're just going to be scoring deer and showing them off, and we'll try to
talking to hunters,
trying to get some of them over here to tell some big deer killing stories. I shoot too many small deer. Nobody wants to listen to me and my escapades in the bow hunting woods, but y'all want to come out here. You want to see what you're, because I got one that I hope goes 141 and 2/8, but you know they shrink a little bit. What's the average on shrinkage?
It's not much. Less than 2 or 3% tops.
Minimal. Okay.
Yeah, it's very minimal. It's usually mismeasurement more than shrinking. You know, they'll say, "Oh, my buddy had it at 172," and then their buddy started measuring at the base of the tail. so sometimes, but it's usually a mismeasurement more than a shrinkage. But they do have to dry 60 days.
What's the biggest misnomer or myth on scoring a deer? Is it mass? Is it tines? Is it length? It's got to have a little bit of everything. But
tines are if you want a deer that scores well, like that deer right there we're looking at, that deer should maybe make Boone and Crockett, and it does not have. It's got nice tine length, but look, it's a 6x6, and it does not have good mass, but it's got all those tines and nothing's broken, and it matches up really well.
Gets to keep everything.
That's right. There's a 2.5 inch point at the base is the only abnormal that deer has. It'll be really close to making the all-time Boone, and it was actually killed by that young man right there who's a kid. So you always gotta like seeing the kids kill a good one.
Yeah, it's it'll spoil you early. You pop a 180 before you got a driver's license. That's kind of hard to beat.
I'm all for it. I'm all for those kids having those opportunities.
So do you get out during the hunting season at all and enjoy the sport?
Deer. I mean, I would lie to you if I tell you I wasn't a hunter. I was a hunter before I was a ward, and I'll be a hunter afterward. But obviously, deer gun season is our busiest time of the year. So those days are numbered. Luckily, my wife and daughter hunt together, so usually they shoot it and then are calling after dark for the cutter to come in and cut their deer. So
come on, drag it out.
That's right.
Drive me out of this field.
Come help. We can't get it in the back of the truck. Come help. So, and I'm always proud of them.
They do a lot of hunting out here. Tell everybody about the landscape, because western Oklahoma is not just all plains. There's good draws. There's good trees. Everybody thinks it's just Kansas flatland, but you got all these deer being pulled out of little river bottoms and draws and everything.
Anywhere there's cover, there's going to be white-tailed deer. If there's cover, we're going to have deer.
That's what you want to see out here.
And deer don't need trees to survive. There's lots of deer live in CRP fields, grass fields. So
there you go.
They like that agriculture. They like the free groceries, and there's such a wide variety in this part of the state. There's beans and corn and milo. It's plenty for them to eat.
They just keep getting bigger and bigger, unfortunately, and maybe some of that's a little bit of the social media. Because
guys are way pickier. That a lot of a deer you wouldn't have even, that you would have loved to have had 20 years ago, you wouldn't even stop and look at now. So, no, the deer hunters are getting better. They let more and more grow, and they see the management of it.
It's a big thing with these guys with the cameras. Everybody thinks
absolutely they know what they have. Yeah. I like the cameras because they know they don't get excited. They've looked at that deer, 100 pictures of that deer before they ever see it, and they know if that's something they want to shoot or not.
I looked at 100 pictures of mine and still shot the wrong one. I got pictures of both of them. I got pictures of both of them standing there next to each other at the feeder all year long. And old boy with the little crab claw right here and the double throat patch comes in. I say, "That's my boy right there." Boom. Wasted the good shot on the wrong deer, but his buddy came in 2 days later. We was tagged out pretty much by the third day season.
Oh, you were just done early.
Just on bucks.
Yeah. Time to start shooting does.
Yeah, we got
taking out. Kids.
We got out. Well, yeah, 28-year-old kid. Yeah, got a couple city friends that never shot one before, and there's so many intangibles. Two or three buddies I took tried to get their first archery deer this year, and we might have been raised doing it. So, play red light, green light, draw your bow. If you can get drawn without them boogering, pretty good chance you're going to draw a hair. Cut a hair, draw blood. But there's some new people out there that you really got to sit with. And he's like, freaks out. He's like, oh, he's right there. He's looking at me. He's like, he ain't know what you're in there. He's looking at that ground blind thinking, I smell Irish Spring soap in there. That cheap son of a gun couldn't even spring for the good stuff. But you see a lot of them out there that you got to take people that are new. If you're tagged out, get your buddies out there, because you don't realize bow season runs all the way through October 1st
to
January 10th or 15th. somewhere in there.
Yep, January 15th.
And you can be in the woods so much more if you got a bow in your hand. If you can't shoot a bow, crossbow is always an option. But it's something
And
that
the crossbow is a great option for kids.
Yep.
That allows you, 3.5 months to get a kid in the outdoors.
Yep, put it on a bog pot and tell them anything under 80.
Let it eat.
Yep. It's something that, as the archery shooting guy, you always want to see them put that down and come on and, you want them to shoot archery as a sport. But if you get them hooked at 7 and 8 years old before they can pull, let's see, I used to think it was 40, and somebody said it's been 35 pounds.
Yeah, they've dropped it down. That's right. It was 40 forever. So
yeah, it was. I was saying it was like it hadn't been 40 for 15 years. Where you been? And I was like, well, after I could pull 40, I didn't really look back at it any. But man, there's a lot of big deer in here. I'm gonna try to get some of these on, camera here. They got people lined up. I think they're scoring 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of them at once. 6.
If I don't get back over there, you're gonna get me in trouble.
Well, don't let me keep
back.
you.
All right.
Thank you, Marshall.
You bet.
Brian, hop on over here. Got the man, the myth, the legend himself.
I don't know about all of that.
Mr. Brian Moorehead from the Autry Tech Center. How you doing, buddy?
Man, I'm great.
Thanks for coming.
Thanks for coming.
Hey, putting this together. Y'all don't know how much this guy does for archery and the hunting industry. The Autry Tech Center has a program that you run several thousands of kids and adults through this shooting facility. You can't see all the building we're in, but we're actually in an indoor range. There's targets behind us. So he's got an indoor setup out here. And tell everybody a little bit about the program as a whole and then about the archery.
Yeah, we partnered with the Oklahoma Wildlife Department to do archery in the schools type shooting, and it has just expanded into a 3D course out back, indoor league nights. We run classes 3 nights a week, Tuesday nights, Wednesday nights, Thursday nights. So in Enid, there's not a lot for kids to do or experience the outdoors, but we're helping to get them there one step at a time. We was able to have draw hunts that kids got to go and experience their first deer hunt this year and last year. And if it wasn't for these game wardens sitting over here, it wouldn't be possible. They come in every quarter or so and do some sort of class. They do everything from wild game cooking to deer processing to deer scoring. And this works great because the kids get to hear the deer stories and experience stuff with the game wardens and the people bringing in the deer, and it's a pretty cool event.
So your game wardens are not nearly as scary as everybody thinks. They're not here to write you a ticket. They came, I remember we did our ASA state meeting out here. We did our awards show and had a little fun shoot. But the biggest takeaway from it was we had Marshall Ray and had a couple other game wardens here that wanted to just talk to us as an outdoor group, as a group of archers. Yep. And what they were focused on is all of the changing rules, regulations, in-state, out-of-state, because it's not just you that you might be educating. I got friends that come down from Kansas to hunt. I had a buddy that came up from Louisiana to hunt. So the more you know as a bow hunter or as an outdoors conservationist, you're going to be able to trickle that knowledge down and help other people. And that's, what these guys are building out here is doing huge, huge things for archery, not just on the tournament side of archery, but I think Brian told me I have to get the stats right, but just the counties that sent kids to shoot at your program. Tell them the stats on the white-tailed deer tags the year after.
Well, about 10% increase is what we've been told. So it's if we see any increase from new hunters, it's just remarkable. It's a great thing to see these kids and families in the outdoors. About half, like last year at this event, for instance, they scored 94 deer in 2.5, 3 hours, and we probably had 300 people through the door through the whole event. And it's people learning what I was able to hear when I was a kid, the stories at the convenience store, at the deer check stations. People don't see that anymore, but as you see our game wardens over here, man, they're phenomenal people. Stop them, talk to them, and tell them thank you when you see them on the road. They don't get credit like they should. So
they're not the police of hunting. Mm-hmm. They are the educators of hunting. They are the stewards of all the resources that we have, because if we don't take care of it, the next generation ain't going to have it.
That's exactly right.
I didn't used to think about it too much when I was a little fella, but I'm getting up there 34, 35, and it's like, man, I'm seeing monster deer killed. And that's, bows are getting better, rifles are getting better, trail cams are getting better.
Oh, yeah.
And you see a few more of them from social media, but it's not like back in the day where you saw, oh, man, that guy killed a 120-inch deer.
Yeah, when I was a kid, if I saw a buck, it was a great thing. Yeah. But now it's like unbelievable. There's deer over there right now that are 170, 180-inch deer already here, and the gentleman just pulled up, probably got a truckload of them. Justin Diaz
has missed the Oklahoma Okie, baby.
Yeah, he'll have a truckload of deer in that truck. Last year he had one that was 201, another one that was 180 inches. But, man, it's great for everybody to hear the stories and get to talk about them. In the old days, we had all of the convenience stores that had the sign out front that said 100 check stations. And that's what the big thing was. Everybody got to show off what they was able to harvest and tell the stories. We got one gentleman in here right now that's 84 years old showing deer pictures and brought deer in to be scored. That's what these kids need. The old man don't live down the street anymore that used to take kids hunting and fishing. So we're trying to recreate that where kids get to experience that. There's another good deer just in the door.
Golly, keep that thing away from mine.
Just take it right back here with all the other deer.
Oh, my gosh, that just...
Yep. Here's another one in the door.
Oh, man, look at that.
There comes 3 in the door.
Oh, I'm going to drop one on the ground.
Just take it around there by the cage.
That's a good-looking deer right there.
Yep, there's several of them coming in there.
Man, I'm a little scared of my 41
He's up there
inch.
getting scored right now. The lie detector is getting issued as we speak.
I'll tell you.
What's your guess? What's your guess before it breaks out the score?
He's 141 2/8. Ain't no guess.
Oh, we're fixing to see.
That's what he's going to be.
We're fixing to see right here. He's measuring him up.
I got a money-back guarantee from Steve Wingo that he's 141 inches.
I'm telling you, when the game wardens put the tape to one, it's a lie detector test for sure.
Hey, as long as they ain't putting the cuffs on, I'm pretty happy.
Well, as long as you checked him in properly, you're good.
So what do you think as far as looking at these deer on camera? What is the best way to are you going by body size? You trying to pick how do you look? How do you evaluate a deer before you shoot it? Because they don't get no bigger afterwards.
Yeah, for the last 20 years of my life, I was all about if it wasn't a stud, I didn't pull the trigger. In the last 4 or 5 years, I've been taking kids hunting, getting kids involved. My daughter, my granddaughter, other kids. Like my blind, I haven't shot a deer off my lease in 10 years.
Okay.
It's been everybody else has shot deer off my lease, and my theory anymore is if it makes you happy, I am happy for you. So the big deer, I've got deer on camera. I hunt in western Oklahoma, Dewey County, and there's a lot of big deer out there, and I've been pretty fortunate over the years. But I've got to find the right one for myself or I don't shoot. But taking all of these kids, man, if they're happy, I'm happy.
I hear you. So everybody out there, do us a favor. Next time you see a kid, and I mean if he's under 25 years old, and he killed a deer with a bow, a muzzleloader, gun, or a spear, oh man, that's a good deer. That's all you got to say. I don't want to hear. I don't want to hear any stories of people going in archery shops and he needed a year. That deer's 3.5. That deer's there. He ain't got. Just bump him up. Because there's a good chance. I mean, you ain't never going to get that deer back alive.
Nope.
But what you are going to do is you're going to give that person a bad taste for wanting to come be a part of the community.
Well, that's what I found out about the outdoors is I've been a bass tournament fisherman for years and years and years and years. Well, it's hard. Well, in any outdoor thing, it's hard to keep retention or recruitment into the industry because we shame each other. If you don't have a $100,000 boat with a live scope on it, you're not a bass fisherman. If you don't shoot a 200-inch deer, you're not a deer hunter. If you're not wearing Seika camouflage, you're not a deer hunter. Don't do that. Don't do that to anybody. Don't shame them. Applaud them. Give them a high five. So you can do whatever you want on your hunting lease or how you hunt, but don't shame other hunters. Help bring them up.
Yep, it's Craig Griffin, Oklahoma Bow Hunters. Bow hunters helping bow hunters, man.
That's right.
That's what it's all about. You just got. It's a community, and it's getting smaller every day.
It is.
You ask any warden or any conservationist, you get one new hunter, you lose two. One of them's dying, and one of them's quitting.
I believe the wildlife department told me it's like a 10% loss year over year of us losing sportsmen to a lot of different things. So, if you can bring one into the outdoors, that helps them numbers. A lot of states are fighting to keep hunting and fishing rights. Oklahoma, we're pretty fortunate right now, so help promote, stop. And here's another thing too, guys. Every one of y'all have bow sights, quivers, old bows that you're never going to use. Find a kid, give it to them.
And if you can't find one, Brian's got a whole building full of them. So if you got a drop away from 1987, or you got the old two-prong rest that I had when I showed up on my target bow, Dan Gaston said, that rest is older than you are.
Yeah, I got about 15 of them right over in a box. I pulled off kids' bows for them.
Yep, that is a great thing to do because, for a young archer, you don't need the most fancy thing.
No.
If it'll get it done, because go ask Grandpa killed 100 deer wearing buffalo plaid, flannel shirt, and smoking a Marlboro Red.
That's right.
So you can do it a lot simpler. It doesn't have to be all flashy. We're not all Instagram famous hunters like some of my good buddies are. It don't matter. I mean, I don't film any of my stuff just because when that deer comes in, I don't even range find it. I pick my bow up, I draw it back, and then we go from there.
Well, if you look now too, Neil, at the trend of what hunting shows and YouTube shows that get the most views, it's the shows that don't concentrate on a 200-inch deer anymore. Most people will never see a 200-inch deer in their life. And so like the Hunting Public show, for instance, they get millions of views on their stuff, and they're not big buck hunters. They're just hunters. Yeah. So spread that. Show everybody that you don't have to kill a 200-inch deer or any. This tonight isn't about who's got the biggest deer in here. It is about the camaraderie, letting all of these kids in this building get to see, hear the stories, and experience this like other people did when we was younger. So it's a great thing. If you've never been to it, we do one here. Oklahoma City Wildlife Department does their big event at the Wildlife Department's office there by the Capitol, and they'll have a bunch of deer there. So, yeah, this is a great deal. They're lining them up, man. There's tables full of them over there. There's even antelope now over there, too.
So the advantage to this, if anybody's unfamiliar, if you live under a rock and you don't kill deer, don't score deer, it costs money to have your deer scored in most places.
Yes.
It's a fee, it's an application fee, it's a scoring fee. So this is a great opportunity to get an official set of eyes with an official score. You can submit these deer and save yourself a little bit of money. You get to come rub elbows with people. You get to come see some kids that are going to kill bigger deer than I ever will in my life. They ain't even driving yet. So it's a great thing for the hunting community. Our biggest goal is trying to get bow hunters to come try target archery. Always want to come shoot them rubber deer. Well, the only reason we're shooting rubber deer, guys, is for October, November, December. So my biggest thing recruiting for the ASA is, if you missed a deer last year, you might want to come in there and do a little practicing in the spring and the summer.
Absolutely. And that's what this is good for. Is we have an indoor range, an outdoor range. We're part of ASA. We do ASA events too. So, man, come out and experience it. You might not be good right now, but it don't take long to get good when you go to practicing and shooting around other people that can help you.
That's part of the competition. Is nobody wants to beat you when you're underprepared. They want to get you. They want to get you ready. They want to get you to the tournament, and then that's where we'll have a it might be a fun round. You might be shooting for ice cream money or shooting for a little medal or an award.
Like right now, right over Neil in my bow cage, I've got a full bow shop set up over there. There's two seniors, older guys that are experienced archers that are setting a bow up for a guy right now, and they're getting it ready so he can shoot it. That's what it's about. Here at Enid, we're not very fortunate. The nearest bow shop is going to be Neil, an hour and a half away.
Everything you need, Triple C Archery. We're going to be trying to get a lot of kids shooting. We want to give you. Well, guys, we'll segue right in there, Brian. We're going to be launching our Triple C program here pretty soon. I want to tell you guys just a little bit about what we got going on. We're going to put out a spring and summer schedule during the weeknights because everybody knows we got ASA on the weekend, and weekends are pretty booked up. So we're trying to focus on Monday through Friday. What we're going to be doing is we're going to be traveling across the country to different ranges, indoors, shops, anybody that wants to have us, and we're going to do, a dare target, which is the vitals for the ASA. We're going to do a 5-spot. We're going to do a Vegas, and we really want to work with people that have an experience. They might shoot in their backyard. That's what Triple C is here for. We want to be an ambassador to the archery community. We want you to try target archery. If you never have, it's not scary. It's different. There's some nuances, kind of like golf. You never know what you're supposed. Where do I stand? What do I do? What do I wear? How do I do this? And it's not that hard, people. We want you to come out. We want to be friends with you. But look for it on the Triple C Facebook page. We're going to be putting out some dates, and we're going to be at ranges near you. So it's not just going to be at the Metro. We're going to be out here in Enid at the Autry Tech Center. We're going to try to venture up north to some of our ranges, and we'll be doing stuff at different ranges in the Metro here. And the whole point's just to get you ready to shoot your bow. You know, you could be the best in the world in your own backyard, and you don't know any better. It's not
or
about,
even prepare you for the tree stand.
Yeah, that's the biggest thing we're looking for is just put a clean, ethical shot on that animal. I mean, you think it's nerve-wracking when you're shooting with your buddies for $10 in the backyard. Wait till that 180-inch deer comes by, and you're really going to see you're really going to see where the nerves come in, where the shot breaks down, that kind of thing.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Man. Yeah, that deer, it's a little different when it walks out, especially some of these that are sitting over on these tables.
The last thing I told myself before my second buck this year was, it's too dark, don't even think about it. He's quartered away pretty hard, moving. So the last thing I said to myself was, oh, there's his front leg going out. I guess we're at full draw. So you never know what you're going to do while you are you never know what you're going to do while you're in the tree. I mean, you're sitting here trying to make a reasonable decision and put a play on this deer, and sometimes you gotta shoot them right at dark. Sometimes that's
why they make them pins glow a little bit.
I turned them on and they was too bright, and I turned them back off.
See, I can say this now. None of the game wardens are looking. If I keep having them come up here and wear them down, they don't stop me in the field. So I'm good. That's what I tell them. When they leave here tonight, they'll say, "Don't call me, we'll call you." They'll be so wore out from seeing deer.
Oh yeah.
But also, too, guys, this right here, stuff like this is better for the game wardens. They can score all of these deer in one place at one time and don't have to do it on tailgates out somewhere at somebody's house. So this right here is a lot more convenient. So look up these, like Oklahoma City coming up, they're giving away lifetime hunting and fishing licenses.
You know the dates on that event?
It's next week, I think. They're going to be doing it at the Backwoods Show this weekend. Half of these game wardens will be there as well. So if y'all run into Marshall Ray, just say, "Hey, I saw you on TV. You look like a movie star." So, but yeah, these guys will be there scoring, and then Rack Madness is a week after. So
y'all come out to the Backwoods Show. That's this weekend. Go see my buddy Haskell at Choctaw Archery. Go see the Oklahoma Bow Hunter booth. Just go be a part of the community.
That's right.
You never know what's out there, and you know, if you really want to do me a favor, take an ASA schedule out there and just start waving it under people's noses.
That's right.
That's the only way that they're going to know about it. Look at that.
Yeah, Chase just got his scored. Was it a lie detector?
What's that?
Did it become a lie detector, or what did it score what you thought?
This one was right on the money what I thought. 118.
There you go.
118. That'll play.
You want Chase to come over and talk to y'all with that on a limb?
Yeah, let me come real quick. Let me grab a jacket. We'll be right back.
All right.
What's up, everybody? We're back. Had to go bundle up. I want to give you all a little bit of information on out on a limb. We got Mr. Chase Stalker here. And tell everybody about your business. What do you guys offer in the hunting community?
We offer lightweight mobile hunting, bow hunting gear.
Okay.
So we make climbing sticks, saddle platforms, lightweight tree stands right here in Enid, Oklahoma.
Okay, so made in America.
Yep.
Are you is it a metal thing? Is it poured? Is it welded?
It's everything. It's all aluminum. So milled, welded, machine. I mean everything. So water jet pieces.
Okay.
Whole 9 yards.
So, are you a traditional hunter or saddle hunter? A little bit of both.
Traditionally tree stand.
Okay.
Just because we build saddle hunting gear, kind of switched over to a saddle hunter this last few years. So do a little bit of both. Still do a lot of tree stand hunting.
What did you think when you first heard about the saddle hunting? Was it oh no, not for me?
Man, I grew up hunting like wooden stands that my grandfather built and put in trees, and tower blinds, rifle hunting with my dad and stuff like that. And then when I kind of became a bow hunter, it was just tree stands. So when we got into saddle hunting, I didn't know what the heck we were getting into, to be honest with you. It just looked like like you're wearing a diaper, and
Tree diapers.
Yeah, and all these ropes. I'm not an arborist. I'm not used to climbing rocks or anything, so it was all new to me. But it's a really easy learning curve, I'll say.
Okay.
And it's been fun to learn actually. So.
What's the? I don't assume anything. You gun hunt, bow hunt, both?
Bow hunt.
Bow hunt.
Yep.
Okay. Yes, sir.
Yep.
All right.
Yep.
You're qualified to be on the
Just a bow hunter.
podcast.
Just a bow hunter.
So tell everybody what it's like when you're first getting used to a saddle. How do you practice in the backyard on a 3D?
Yeah, you definitely want to shoot. You definitely want to shoot a target for sure. I would say the best way to practice is just to if you have a platform, just to get a platform high and then just, get in your saddle and definitely shoot from there, because having that bridge in your way and having all those ropes in your way it takes a learning curve for sure to kind of get it down. I would start out there and then eventually get your sticks, get that method of climbing down, because that's the part of doing this and being lightweight and using a saddle is getting there and getting up fast and getting up quietly. So it's definitely it takes some practice, but yeah, just a plain tree or heck a telephone pole. If you have a telephone pole in your backyard or something, or a light pole, those are perfect.
Yep.
Good way to practice.
I say, can I get an old half a telephone pole and just stick it? Yeah.
It would be money. It'd be the best way of doing it, in my opinion. If you can afford it.
I shot, not this past year, but the year before. I went and got a used one because my buddy said I needed one, and I call him $700 Josh. Shout out to the Boundary Paradox, my buddy Josh Vire. Every time he calls me, it costs me at least $700. If it's a video camera, boat motor, tree saddle setup, trip to tack, you name it, it's $700 minimum every time he calls. And he called me yesterday. I ain't got $700. I had to send it to voicemail. But he got me up in one of those. I was shooting a hinge, and it was really the difference in a hinge and a button. When you take your feet away and you have to run your core a different way, that bow really feels different. Yeah. But tried it again with a button a year later, and altogether different. Yeah. Altogether different experience. Absolutely. And it was like I was shooting a 3D target out at 35 yards. I was like, man, I'm about to bounce an arrow off the back of this thing. I just didn't have that level of confidence. So tell people, how long does it, do you need to start in the spring? Do you need to start March, April?
I would. The earlier the better. Really, you need to be shooting your bow all year long. Oh yeah. And if you're gonna be serious about wanting to shoot one or wanting to get one on the ground out of a saddle, I'd definitely say, you need to be practicing in the spring. You need to be getting in that. It is different, and especially practicing shooting your weak side. A lot of guys don't think about that when you're in there, but the whole, when you're leaning away from the tree and you're shooting your strong side, what if that deer comes in on your weak side, over here on this, and you have to spin, or there's different ways, but it's
put the tether back up this way and come back like that.
Exactly.
Oh yeah.
And you need to practice that for sure, because you don't want that to be the reason why you don't get it done.
That was the only way I practiced was weak, because I was like, strong side I'm good, but I got up there on the weak side with the tether here leaning out against it, and man, you talk about trust the pin float.
Absolutely.
Oh, that was a different thing.
Absolutely.
So let's get back to your equipment over there. Mm-hmm. Tell them about the different packages and the different, because you came up and designed all these, right?
Yeah.
So let me tell us about what you got. And I'm going to put one of these cameras over here on it while you're talking.
Yeah, absolutely. So everything we make is all aluminum, lightweight. 10 years ago, we started out in this industry building tree stands. In the last 5 years, we switched over to mobile hunting gear. One of our main products we sell is the car climbing sticks. When they came out 4 years ago, they won gold at the 2020 ATA show, 5 years ago now. They won gold award for best new product. That's a pretty big deal for us. They are a lightweight, 1 pound climbing stick. Stack really well, claps real well. That's our main deal. Some other things that we've kind of evolved to is just lightweight tree stands. So we have some aluminum tree stands that are very lightweight, weighing under 10 pounds, great for public land. And that's really kind of where we cut our teeth, is making products for public land hunters. Being able to get in there, most guys, especially in the South or around here, you're using like a climber stand. They can weigh 20, 25 pounds, but one of our setups, you got a platform and 3 sticks weighing about 8 pounds. So that's kind of the advantageous.
So for your less physically inclined public land hunters, it might make or break you on an 8-mile trek.
Could, absolutely, could, but not our stuff. It's so lightweight, you can get in there no problem.
I think the best thing about some of these saddles is all the different accessories. I didn't know that there's like a bunch of different companies that'll print you either 3D or this or that little what's the ring of steps called, to where you can tiptoe.
Yeah, ring of steps is what they call them.
Yep.
Ring of steps. Yeah. Absolutely.
So there's is there really a way to rig those up and not have a weak side shot? Can they all be strong side 360 degrees, or are you going to have that one deer in that one lane that you just got to go over the shoulder?
You could probably make it work with the ring of steps. You're still going to have that issue of that tether wanting to grab the tree as you spin it around. You definitely want to practice shooting that weak side shot. A ring of steps is probably going to help you, but you're going to have the right size of tree. It's going to have to be clear enough.
Well, let's back up real quick, just for the uneducated like myself. How do you pick a good tree for a saddle? Like, what are you looking for besides deer sign? Because locations depending on what your game you're stalking.
Yeah.
What's a good tree?
I can get in more trees with a saddle than I can a tree stand or a lock-on, I feel. So really, I don't have a hard time finding trees. I mean, it's just if you've hunted and you've looked for a tree for your stand, it's the same thing. I mean, you can put that saddle in that same tree. So I'm looking, for the deer sign, obviously, and then just a good clear spot where I know I don't need to be, 20 feet in the air. I don't need to be 15 feet in the air. I killed one deer this year off 12 feet, but it was just the perfect little scenario in that tree where I could get to. That's really what I look for. I don't stress over the trees too much, I guess. Being in the saddle, you can get in basically anywhere. So
now, if you're 280, 300 pounds, maybe not one of those.
Yeah, right.
If it's creaking on the way up, maybe rethink that one if you can.
We definitely try to recommend at least like a women's basketball size for the most part.
Man, trying to think. What else, as far as if you're new to saddle hunting, what are some other things that are going to save you time? Do you need the ascender, descender, or is Prusik not the way to go?
Prusik, I mean, if you want to just keep it simple and budget friendly too, that Prusik's nice. It works great. The mechanical stuff, guys, you don't need the mechanical stuff. It makes it a little easier, but you're going to be spending a premium dollar. You can keep it real simple and be very successful with it, I believe.
Biggest question I've got, and this probably shows my own ignorance, how do you one stick?
That's a good question.
How do you climb a tree with one stick?
That's a good question, man. And that is something that has really taken off for us the last couple of years. We sell more one sticks than anything. I haven't one sticked. It's a thing that the East Coast guys and the guys in the South use a lot more.
Okay.
We don't really sell many here in Oklahoma too much, but basically you're walking up there with a climbing stick that has an aider on it. If you don't know what an aider is, it's just a rope, a free-hanging rope ladder. You walk up to your tree and you hang that stick as high as you can. You'll climb up that stick, and then when you get up to the top of that stick, you'll cinch your tether down, kind of wrap your legs around that tree, reach underneath you, unhook that stick, raise it above you, hang it again, climb it again. Usually guys will make 3 moves and that gets them about 20 feet. That sounds like a lot, but it can be 3 pounds. and that's equivalent to your 4 climbing sticks in a tree stand or your climber, and you're talking about 3 pounds. That's all you're carrying in to get up into a tree 20 feet, and that's pretty advantageous. And the guys that do it, man, they love it. The guys that really kind of figure it out do really well with it.
I've seen them. They come in. They got one stick. They got a saddle, and they got their saddle on. They got their platform in their hand. They got one stick, and he goes, "I can hunt any tree on this ground."
Oh yeah.
I mean, it definitely changes the game as far as scouting deer, trying to get a play on them, being able to play the wind.
100%, yeah. I mean, the ability to move so fast and so quietly to get up a tree real quick. Okay, my wind's not great here. Well, I got a deer just winded me. I need to move over there. Oh, there's a buck checking that bedding area. I need to be on the back side of that bedding area. I can get down, move real fast, quiet, be up in that tree and ready to go again.
There you go.
Yeah, it's great for that.
I'm looking forward to getting versatile in them, or at least well versed to where I could do it in the backyard in the daylight.
Yep.
Trying to walk down in the 6 a.m. before the sun come up.
Man.
Yeah.
The first time I ever did it, it kicked my butt. It kicks your butt if you haven't done it in the dark. That's why, the practice thing is a big deal. Just getting those moves down and kind of figuring out how you're going to tie your sticks off and everything in the dark. Once you,
I'll tell you how I'm going to tie them off. I'm going to buy about 9 sets of them off of you, and I'm going to leave them in the tree. And I'll probably leave the platform in the tree too, because I don't know if it's lazy or apathetic, but yeah, I'm going to treat them just like a ladder stand and have one in every third tree on my little 40 acres. So.
Absolutely, I hear you. That's the way to do it.
So, what's the youngest saddle hunter you've seen somebody shoot a deer out of?
Oh man, that's a nice thing. Doing this is, we travel to a lot of trade shows during the spring and summer, so you do get to meet a lot of customers, people that are picking it up. Man, 12 or 13-year-old kids that really like it. I've seen some kids kill some pretty good bucks about that age. So
I'd say there's probably some and saddle hunting's been, 5-10 years? 5-10
years with the Fires guy, but it's been around for 30 years. People have been using tree saddles for a long time now. So
okay, I think in another 10 years we'll probably have some good stats and say they're at least as safe as the old rickety ladder stand,
100%.
or
100%.
Possibly safer.
It's so easy to sell to a mother or to a father with their child, because I can guarantee you, if your son is going to public land and he's hunting out of a tree stand, or he's got that tree stand already set up, if he gets there and he doesn't have his harness, he can still go climb that tree. He can still go talk himself into it. But if your son or your daughter is going to public land and they're planning on hunting out a saddle and they forget that saddle at home, if they get there, they can't go climb that tree. They can't hunt, and it ain't gonna work. You have to have that saddle. You have to have that harness always on. So I think it's way safer than anything that we do right now.
It forces you, read my lips when I say this: safety harness, safety harness, safety harness.
Yeah.
You gotta wear. I don't care if you're 10 feet, 20, 30 feet off the ground. You gotta wear one.
Absolutely.
Saddle hunting is 100% of the time you are at least tethered to something.
Yes.
And gravity's undefeated.
undefeated.
Father time and gravity. We just can't beat them no matter what we try.
That hurts, I tell you what.
Well, you get a certain age, you pass bouncing age. So we might have a few years past that, but I got up in a ladder stand this year without one, kicked myself all the way up. You probably better oughta, probably should have, but I just went up there, saw a couple deer, didn't really feel like shooting anything, and it's never worth risking.
Yeah.
I've had some people fall out of one on us before that probably shouldn't have made it out, but got very blessed, very lucky. So.
Yeah.
The thing about saddle hunting is you are tethered in 100% of the time, and you can wear, this is probably a good point for you, this probably sells some product for you, you can use a saddle as a safety tether in a regular stand and then turn around 180 for your weak side out of a regular ladder, climber, hang on,
100%.
Anything like that. Just wear that tree diaper and run that safety tether up like this. It ain't going to be in the way, and if you need to shoot weak side, you just turn around like this on the tree. Boom, there we go. Just like that. So
I killed both my bucks this year doing the same thing, using a saddle out of a tree stand.
Now, is that called a hybrid?
You would call it a hybrid. I'm sure that's what they refer to it as a hybrid. Hybrid setup. But yeah, absolutely.
So what do we got to do to get you and the guys from Out on the Limb to put on kind of a seminar or class? If we could get a couple telephone poles up in here, would y'all want to get together and do a little video seminar on how to saddle 101?
Oh yeah, that'd be great.
Leave your horse at home.
That's something that we definitely need to get going around here. There's not many saddle hunters around where we're from. Oklahoma. You get to the east part of the state and the southern part of the state, it's starting to grow. But
Well, it helps when you have trees.
absolutely, yeah. We don't have many trees around here, but
And no big deer either, so don't even come looking for them.
no, you got to go north a couple hours or way south to find those big deer.
Yeah, there's none of them in the county. Don't even. I say we got a couple of them on camera here. Over here, got the wardens.
I've been very impressed with the deer walking in here today.
It's insane.
I'm very impressed.
I'm gonna try to get him. This one here, he went a grand total of 139.
Oh yeah.
That was my best one. Accidentally killed another deer thinking he was him. Looked just alike, and
Yeah.
my dad always told me, "Show me your friends, and I'll show you your future." Shot the wrong deer and said, "Well, he shouldn't have been hanging out with that rough crowd. You know, he shouldn't have been going to that bar that night at that honky tonk."
Yeah, that's a cool deer. That's an awesome deer.
Yep, his name's Steve. Named him after my buddy Steve.
Heck yeah.
Also might need shot a time or two. But, yeah, that one he was educated. He saw me shoot last year. He saw me shoot Steve 2023, and then a doe, and then he saw me shoot the first one this year. So he'd seen me on that one corn pile. He'd seen me shoot 3 times, and he came in and made that J into the wind and sat there kicking leaves in the timber for like 45 minutes before dark. Came out. I couldn't see hardly anything. He stopped right at my 30-yard arrow broadside, stuck his front leg out, and started sniffing at it. Well, guess we're getting full draw.
You heard that noise.
I'd already turned my light on, turned it off because it was too bright. We had to call a little tracking dog. Went 140 yards. Caught liver, but back too far.
Sure.
Caught liver, probably dead in 2 hours, but we gave him all night, and the coyotes had a field day with him.
Oh, yeah.
But yep, he was the first one I've shot in 34 years that made it off the 40 acres I hunt on. So
yeah.
props to him. He made it farther than any of them, but not quite far enough. Just low liver, you know.
Sure.
Always got to back out, give him time.
Yeah, that's part of it.
How about your year? You said you killed a couple deer. You got them here with you?
I did. I got one over there. I killed my biggest buck this year.
Well, go grab that thing.
I'll go grab it.
Let's go. Let's show everybody what they're missing out on 2 hours away from Enid, Oklahoma. We'll give him just a second, guys. He's gonna go. He's got a big old pile of deer heads over there. Whole bunch of good-looking deers. We got some people trying out the new Darton bows. We got the Consequence 2. We got the Sequel 33. We've even got the Exodus 37 Pro SD over here. So anybody wants to come try one of these new Dartons, come on out. Look at that. Let me get this out of the way. That is a stud deer.
He's got
Look at the trash on that thing.
one of his bases goes 5.5.
Broke one off back here.
Busted off with a split breast.
Split brow. Well, start with the story. What'd you name him?
That's a good question, man. So we watched this deer for the last 3 years. He's a 5-year-old buck. When we got him on camera 3 years ago, he had the same trash off his bases, so we named him Boot Spur.
Boot Spur.
So he looked like he had boot spurs, and so he's been named Boot Spur for the last 3 years. We've passed him a lot. He's very, very, very frequent. Very frequent. I've had more pictures of this deer than any deer I've ever had on camera. Very regular. To the point where I shot him this year, October 14th. Hit him high. Called probably the same dog you called. Never found him that night. Called the drone that night. Never found him. He was back 2 days later in the daylight. Same spot I shot him.
Where'd you hit him?
Just high. I tell you what, I hit him 3 inches lower when I killed him. It was just that I was shooting more down into him. When I shot him the first time, I was shooting so flat that arrow just kind of high, high in that no man's land.
Do you think no man's land's there all the time or just when they're breathing out? Because if they're breathing in, you know that lung's got to expand.
Yeah.
And it's a 50-50 shot. Are they breathing in or breathing out? And when your heart rate's going about, 214 over cardiac arrest, it's hard to...
It is.
Can't tell if he's breathing in or out, but I'm going to hit that balloon.
Yeah. And I think he just ducked. That's another thing, too. When I shot him the first time, he was alert. And so when I let that arrow go, you can see him drop a little bit, and it was just enough to make it hit high. But that second time, I got him in front of me and was able to kill him. The entry was just 2 inches lower, but I was 20 feet high on the top of a ridge, and he was at the base of the ridge walking by, and it was just, that angle was just too much.
Yeah. So that was your first buck this year or your second?
That was my second buck. My first buck is over here. I can go get it, too.
So he's going to go It's a big old episode of show and tell going on.
Killed both bucks out of the same stand. This is just a little 118-inch buck. He was a 7-year-old deer. He field dressed 185.
Golly,
Just a big old brute.
body.
Oh yeah, just a big old brute.
Was he running? So you killed him earlier.
Killed him well, I shot him first. Killed this one November 9th, and then killed that one November 19th. So this one came in chasing the doe.
There you go.
Just pushing the doe around.
When they're 7.5 and big bodied, you know they're doing more damage running stuff off than they are.
Absolutely. He was a deer I was wanting to get killed last year just because of how big he was, and he was a bully. Just a small 10-point, nothing for score wise. But I wanted to get him killed last year. He just never showed himself.
You call that a cull deer or a management deer? Or you just call it he just got old?
I tell you, I really enjoy finding a 5 or 6-year-old deer. I want to every year when I put my cameras out, I want to find the oldest deer I got on camera, or at least a 5 or 6-year-old deer, and just go. I don't care about the rack size. I just want to go after it. So to me, that's a great bow kill. Is what I'll call it as. 6-year-old, 120-inch. I mean, the dude's been around. He's smart. He's intelligent. It's cool to get those deer on the ground, regardless of what the headgear was. He could have been, they can't really decide what their headgear is going to be. He could have been a 180-inch deer, but
you never know. It's
just a smart guy.
A little bit of genetics, a little bit of how much food they have, and a little bit of, well, there wasn't some old kid shot in youth weekend.
Right, yeah.
I don't know how old you are. Youth weekend for me used to be antlerless, and now youth weekend's them teeing off, baby. Third weekend of October.
Yep.
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
That's what it's all about. I was like, where was that when I was a kid?
Right, yeah.
I feel like if you're 30, 40 years old and your youth weekend didn't ever have no horns on it, you may be entitled to compensation here at Cooley and Archery.
Yeah.
Golly. So tell everybody just real quick where they can follow you on your social media accounts. How can they get a hold of you if they want to get into saddle hunting?
Absolutely. We're on Facebook. We're on Instagram. We're on TikTok. It's at On a Limb MFG. We have a website, atonalimmmfg.com. That's where you can order all of our products. You can contact us there as well. We go to trade shows pretty often. We'll be in Iowa, Des Moines, Iowa next weekend for the Iowa Deer Classic. That's a pretty cool one.
I don't even want to go there, man. Those people have deer that just...
Man, if you love whitetail hunting, that is a sweet place to go. They do they'll do like a shed hunting or a shed measuring contest, and then they'll bring in all the deer from the year. And the deer that you see walk in through those doors in Iowa, oh my gosh, it's nuts. Giants in Iowa. Giants. Everybody knows them.
So the biggest question we always ask everybody before we let you go, tell us about your bow setting. What do you shoot?
Man, I shoot an Obsession Evolution 6. I've been shooting Obsession for 9 years now. Just real simple, 6-inch brace height, 70 pounds, 28-inch draw. I'm not much of a target shooter. I'm real simple, man. I just like to bow hunt. I like to get in a tree and hunt big bucks. That's what I like to do.
I hear it, man. I'm the guy in charge of getting target archery going. We got the 145 class for anybody that wants to shoot their hunting bow year round. We all pick up a target bow and put our hunting bow down, and I tell people it's like, you're gonna save a set of strings every 3 years if you don't shoot it year round. But there is something to be said for keeping that. Get you five arrows every night in the backyard.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Stretch it out to 50, 60 yards. If you want to hunt deer at 30, 40 yards, you need to be practicing at 50, 60.
That's what I tell everybody too. Absolutely. Yeah, double that distance.
I'm telling you what, I'm getting a little excited about trying to saddle hunt.
It's fun, man.
I don't know, man. I kill most of mine out of a ground blind and a few out of a tripod. Sure. That's about as exotic as we get over here. But I look at it like I could do more with the trees I have if I can just get in there and find them. Without having to go booger them out of their beds and put your scent everywhere. Just sneak in dead of night, crawl right in bed with them, be hanging 18 feet above them. My buddy Jeremiah, he kills them with a stick bow. He's a Black Widow guy. Shout out to Jeremiah. He don't get sometimes 4 to 7 feet off the ground. If it's a little pine tree, he goes right up there, 6 feet off the ground, smoked him.
Oh yeah,
10-yard shot. And you don't realize how close you can get to these deer without them having any clue you're there. Because you've seen old mature deer before. They go through the forest, look up in that tree, tree, got shot at from that one. They're looking. You get 7, 8, 9 feet off the ground, just above head height, they might never ever know you're there.
It's weird. It's weird the way it works, but that's definitely true.
They got that sixth sense tingling. Man, appreciate you sitting down with
Thanks
us.
for having me, man.
I don't want to keep you from your booth too long. Everybody go give this guy a follow. Tell him your name one more time.
My name's Chase Stalker with Out on a Limb Manufacturing.
There you go, man. Y'all heard it here first. We'll see you next time. Thanks, sir. Appreciate you, bud. We'll be right back. Get you another guest here. Just don't go anywhere. We'll be right here. What's up, everybody? We're back with your favorite guest from the Oklahoma Archery Podcast. We got Andrea Waldridge here. They are Enid-based, and we want to let Andrea tell you all just a little bit about how she used to have a life, and then her kids started shooting archery, all of them, and then she got more kids shooting archery, and then, here we are.
Here we are. Yeah.
So tell everybody real quick about your youth team, and then tell them what's your position that you're taking over
All
as.
right, great. So my youth team is Twisted Arrow, OK Archery. Started out, we were going to have my 3 kids, and it just grew like fire. We now have about 45 kids that are active at some level, and then we have probably 10 to 12 that are active all the way up to the national level and have traveled to, in the last few weeks we've traveled to Lancaster, Pennsylvania. That was quite a long drive. We've done Albuquerque. We had a pile of them in Foley, Alabama this weekend, and I've got one going to Vegas before we start heading. It just gets busier from that. I think we've got a weekend off, and then we head to Utah. So it's a lot.
Coast to coast, new tires probably every 6 months.
Had to get a new car. Wore the last one out. It was a really nice car when we started archery, and later it had about 200,000 miles. I think we average about 40,000 a year, and I work from home. I don't drive very many places that aren't for archery.
It does take a lot of time and effort, but what you've grown with this youth program in our state is absolutely amazing. I see the Twisted Arrow jerseys. They're 30, 40, 50 deep anywhere they go, and that puts you on the radar from not just working with USA Archery, but now you are with S3DA Archery.
Yes, so I'm also an S3DA Archery coach. Then that grew, and then I was the state coordinator, and just a few months ago I got the title of Western National Tournament Director. So when we go to Vegas on Tuesday, it'll be so that I can run the S3DA portion of the Vegas shoot, and then I'll host in Utah, and then later in the summer in Montana.
Oh wow!
Yes.
So all the faraway places. Did they not have
places.
anything close?
There's just some really great locations. We bid them out. Indoor, we really like this Easton Center there in Salt Lake City. It's just a great facility, and while it's not exactly convenient for me, it is more centrally located for the western half of the country. And then Montana just bid it out, and they had done one there before and did a phenomenal job. And despite the 24-hour drive ahead, it's just a really great place to go and really nice scenery. We don't mind doing we drove to Lancaster, Pennsylvania. We drove straight home 19 hours, I think 19 and a half, something like that.
Absolutely brutal.
It
but
was.
Worth it. Got
Worth
to travel with the McSorleys and see
absolutely.
Zane's
we took old
first.
Zane up there, him and Isaiah, the twins, as some people like to call them.
The gruesome twosome?
Yes.
The gruesome twosome.
They are that. But we had a really great time, and Lancaster was a phenomenal tournament. It was really cool to see Isaiah make the elimination matches. That's just kind of next level at that point.
You can hear all that on his recent episode. I think it was 62 or 3 here a couple of weeks ago. So you can hear all about his trip and what it was like to be in the shoot-offs. Tell everybody, if they've never been on an archery team, or if they have kids and they don't know about it, what's it like as a team? You don't have to go to all the big tournaments early on, obviously, but
right.
What's it like to join one? What's it entail?
So you really just have to show up. We've got bows they can try. We've got bows they can use. That's one of the great things coming up here to Autry. You see the cage back there on the video, I think, right now, and that thing is full of Genesis bows, and that's a great starter bow. If somebody doesn't have one, I just got to set it to their draw length and give them some arrows, go through 15 minutes, and that quickly they're shooting a bow. We tailor it to you. So my team is set up as a nonprofit, and my goal is make it accessible to every kid and make it fit every family. That way, if you want to do a shoot here or there and use the borrowed bow and you're kind of interested, that's awesome. We're just as excited as we are for the kids that are crazy enough to follow us all around the country. We've got everything set up. We've had incredible donations. So we've got a bow press. We've got the targets at the house that we're getting ready this weekend to start 3D practice. You show up and we're going to guide you through the process and make it easy for you.
So it can be as scaled down as you want it to be. You don't
Absolutely.
don't have to buy anything, don't have to show up with anything. If you have an interest, tell them where they can get a hold of you.
Yes, so the easiest way that everybody kind of knows is our Facebook group, Twisted Arrow OK Archery. My Facebook, and my phone number's out there everywhere, so that's an easy one. I'll just put it out there to them, 580-603-5964. Pretty much, if you have a kid who's interested in archery and you ask around, I tend to be the person to get that phone call.
It's about 40, 50 phone calls every day.
Honestly, I probably, there are days that I take 20 phone calls, and if I stay under 30 text messages, I'm like, whoa, is my phone still working? It's been kind of a slow day.
I say the easiest time for me is when I'm driving down the road, because I can only take the phone calls and not the calls while the texts are happening. So everybody out there that I talk to on the phone with, I'm sorry that I just go absolutely blank halfway through our conversation. It's because I got a text that just can't wait, and somebody's stuck or lost or confused,
right.
And I like to get those in and out as quick as I can. But it really does make it worth it when you get to work with people like Andrea that are taking dozens of kids across state lines to shoot archery.
It's so cool watching them succeed. And I know one of my favorite moments, my little Eagle group won national championship in 3D for the team shoot, and them just running at me, just screaming, we did it, and hugging me and about tackling me to the ground. I mean, that's the highlight. There's so many amazing moments in between, but seeing those kids work so hard to it and pulling it off, making it happen, is really cool.
I know you didn't get to go to Foley with us.
No.
But seeing some of the junior Eagle kids from Oklahoma
Goodness.
wind up on the podium was enough to make your state director just about lose it. Had to keep sunglasses on.
Right.
You treat these kids and you see them, you coach them. You see them go through highs and lows, and when they put it together, it's just about enough to make it all worth it.
Oh, yeah, and I know with our team, we focus on, we're a family. We travel together, we eat together, we trade kids. You never know. You look in the back of your car, and who knows whose kids you got and where yours went, and that's just how we approach it, because our number one focus is pouring into them to make them great archers, but honestly, in the long run, make them even better people.
Yep. You get them shooting archery. They might stay out of trouble. They'll be in less trouble. Comparatively less trouble. Easier trouble to fix if you're a decent bow tech or maybe an archery coach.
The one thing they will do is probably spend your money once they get to that level.
There was never any money. We didn't have any to start with, and then archery just made sure of that.
I always think, imagine how well off I'd be if it wasn't for archery. I feel like I work my day job just to pay for the archery trips and all the equipment. I think I've got 20 bows at my house right now.
It happens.
Yeah. 3 years ago, I'd never even touched a bow.
We have seen one of the very few times Andrea has shot her bow was right here at the Autry Tech Center. So anybody can come do it. It's open to the public. There's no cost to you. It's something that is government funded. So if y'all are out in Northwest Oklahoma or anywhere, come check out the Autry Tech Center. They're here most nights a week. I know Andrea's team will practice. They'd be more than happy to accommodate you. Or sometimes it's as easy as just answering questions for people. I mean, what's the biggest reservation people have had about coming out to try archery?
A lot of times it's the parents going, I've never done this. I don't know what I'm doing. And so they just assume that it's going to be difficult. And I'm like, bring me your kid and give me 15 minutes and you will be shocked. And I have one family that, they've never really shot, and their daughter was, I think, in the top 10 nationally after just a little over a year of shooting compound. And they keep saying, we just love that it's her thing. We don't know anything about it. We're just figuring it out as we go. But she has done all of this. So that's always a big one. I mean, just seeing those kids, they figure it out. They're whizzes at this stuff.
So what's the one event that you were looking most forward to this year? Archery-wise.
Archery-wise, right now I'm pretty excited about S3DA Western Nationals for 3D and outdoor target in Montana.
Okay.
That's a big one for me. We usually take a big group. You can't beat shooting in the mountains. We're out there on a ski range. It's beautiful, and they just do a phenomenal job. And, a little nervous because this is my first year. I'll be the tournament director at that level, and so that's pretty cool to check out. And it's great for the kids, and that's going to be exciting for me as well.
So what's it going to be like this year? Because last year when you went, you weren't putting the tournament on.
I was not.
So this year going to be a little bit different?
It'll be a little bit different. One of the things that I have done, Carrie Wyand has gone and become certified as a coach, because when I'm there, I don't sleep much. I don't eat much. I am running from one kid. I mean, I get a text. We were about half a mile away and straight up a mountain away from a kid that had an issue. And I don't run. Except for when a kid needs me in archery, and I make that exception. So I'm going to be running the tournament. I'm not available for that. So I was like, we've got to get some more people here, and Carrie jumped in, and I know she's going to be phenomenal as an assistant coach. She's got her kid involved. So that'll be nice, because I probably won't sleep for 3 days during that tournament. It's going to be the first one there and the last one to leave, and there's always somebody with something to say and a complaint, and they'll be coming after me this year.
Best advice I can give you, people are going to be okay with you ignoring them to a certain extent when a big tournament's going on. They realize you have 17 fires at any given moment to go attend to, and it's your fires, so, better get after it. It is it's nerve-wracking because you want to see your friends, you want to chit-chat, and you want to see everybody, so it's hard.
Yeah.
It's hard to do the archery gig and coordinate a tournament at a high level and still be able to be that person. People want to talk to you. They want to show you a story, show you a picture, get a picture, this and that. And it's you just feel like you miss so much when you're, you got to put your blinders on, head down, get it done. When the dust settles, if everyone's alive, we'll drive home.
We'll drive home and we'll chat on the way. Yeah, I host a ton of tournaments, and I judge also. I'm certified through USA and NFAA, and yeah, I get done and I'm exhausted and I'm like, what even happened today? They're like, did you hear this?
Yeah.
Nope. I heard nothing.
Didn't hear a word.
So always, first thing, hopefully Jason's with me so he can drive and I can, hit the texting real quick and text all the mom and dads and tell the kids great job, check scores. But you're just out of pocket. So I went to a shoot I don't know, maybe a month ago, and I was not running it. I wasn't judging. And I was like, oh wow, is this what it feels like? I forgot this feeling. And it was a nice reset and a nice refresh to what I had been doing. Made me realize, you got to kind of balance that out. You can't always be the one running the show because it's exhausting.
It is a lot.
But I love it. It's so rewarding. I like having the chance to be out on the line with the kids and be the one that they, you don't get to see that when you're sitting back in the seats, what's happening up at the targets.
Yep. I say Andrea is the one that put on not only the Frozen Okie, but the Joad series that everyone's been enjoying the last 2 years. So
it's been really great.
She's been at the middle of it. You might not have seen her at it. You might not have got to actually, interact or commingle, but, rest assured, we're there under duress, under pressure, being shot at from the trees in every direction with no way of telling where it's coming from.
My favorite is they've learned Andrea's happy when she's not hungry, so randomly snacks will show up on my judge's seat and they say, is that a bribe? I'm like, no, they're just trying to keep me alive.
Keeping my blood sugar up and keeping me from falling asleep and nodding off.
Yes, that blood sugar goes down and old Wrangler always goes, Jason, you need to feed her again. She's getting hangry. Even the kids have learned to take care of me because I'm happier that way.
It is a lot, but you got people to fall back on. You got good people you got great parents, you've got great grandparents.
Yes.
One of her grandparents has bought a full-on travel van to haul. It's like a 15-passenger of some kind.
Yeah, it's a huge van, and I'm sitting there one night, and he texts it, and he's like, what do you think about this to be able to take the kids to archery? And I thought, is he serious? And then the next thing, he's like, I bought it. And then his wife texts me, did you hear what he did? And even when we went to Lancaster, he said, well, if you need a bigger van, come get mine. You can take it. And what a great thing to have every level of parents, grandparents, family that is so incredibly supportive of not just their own kids and grandkids, but the whole team. We really are fortunate in that respect. We've got a ton of support, and our kids are top-notch. You can't tell whose kids belong to who when we're all together. Everybody just assumes they're all mine.
Well, go through them real quick. I know you just had a whole bunch of them come back from Foley, and right before that you had... I know you put it out on social media, but while we got you here to brag on them, let's go through some of where these kids finished at big national tournaments.
Oh my goodness, yeah. I'm going to have to pull that up because they do so much and they're so incredible. It just blows my mind. So let's go back to Foley because that's, the most recent one. I think we got to start with Jordy. Man, that junior eagle. And I got to say, 2 weeks before target panic is real and it is rough. And I've seen it in a little guy like that. And then just the recovery all of a sudden and goes and gets second at the first Pro-Am of the year.
Yep.
Unbelievable. Then Rylan, he's over in young adult Penn's male, and second Pro-Am he's ever been to, lands on the podium in third. I was texting with his brother as he was shooting his final 5 arrows, and I said, oh, he's going to make it. I woke up this morning with absolute confidence in this kid, and he's like, I don't know. I said, well, just get ready because you're sticking around for the podium. It's happening. Mackenzie Lau then pulled off 6th. Youth Open boys, I got to tell you, that's a tough class. They're getting ready for young adult, and these kids are shooters. We had Wrangler and Zane in there that played super well. Mason and Youth Penn's boys, he was 18th. Then, let's see, I guess we got old Isaiah. He made the podium second in young adult male.
By how many points?
What was he, maybe 6 points?
Probably would have been better to set the sight on the first target.
Listen, don't ever start your weekend off by not setting the sight and shooting a 5. That kid, I'm like, how'd you score? I got a 5. What was your total score? 5. Yeah, so those will stick with you. But despite shooting a 5, he still came back and got second, got in the money. Super cool. And then old Jack Shaw came around, his I think this was his first pro-am, and
Definitely.
he got ninth.
Yep, and he had a bow malfunction, had a rest break
Yeah,
loose
man.
on his target bow. We saw him coming off the round on the practice bags, and I was like, that can't be good.
No.
Not a good sign. Saw him the next day with his dad's hunting bow rigged up with his stabilizers
Oh
in
my
sight.
gosh.
So the kid had a complete equipment mechanical failure of certain kind.
Mm-hmm.
Mid pro-am, you shoot 2 days, 2 scores, 20 targets each days. Basically at halftime, he said, okay,
Change it up.
We're going to have a whole different ball
That
game.
kid's a shooter. Like, he got ninth this time with that going on. You will be seeing him on the podium in no time. Like, he puts up some monster scores every day.
He beats me. He shoots in the men's known 45 class here and then young adult at the pro-ams. So back home, he's competing with grown men, and it's not even close.
And he might just put up like a 32 up one day and just smoke everybody. He's got that going on.
There's really nowhere I can hide from him. And this
No.
kid's, I mean, he's this
Oh, yeah.
this tall.
Yeah, you see him with Isaiah, and they're quite a pair.
So you got to send him with bail money to the next tournament.
Oh, for
'cause,
sure.
I mean, there's just no way we're going to be able to keep them out of trouble together.
No, they're something else together. But before that, we had gone to Albuquerque. Now that one's super cool. You shoot it, you pick a location, you go, and then the whole tournament happens at 16 different locations across the country over about 2 months. And then eventually they go back and they combine all of the results and tell you where you're at. And there's 2 tournaments for that one. There's JOAD, which is the youth, and then there's USA Archery, which has youth divisions as well, but also can include adults. Going through here, and I'm talking hundreds in each division, thousands of people all over the country shot in this. So these placings, they're impressive. Isaiah and JOAD came out 9th in the country. Cody Boatwright was 46th, Wrangler Trammell 54th, Will Jordy again 27th in the country. We had Eli Niemeyer. I think that might have been just his second national shoot. He pulled off 41st. Case Nichols 20th. Halston Abbott. Man, this was her first national tournament. She was 15th, and Karsten Trammell was 8th. And then they all did similarly in USA Archery. There's a few more in that one, so they may have dropped, a place or two there. But on the national scale, those placings are incredible.
Tell us some of the parents that might not be familiar with archery. What are some of the benefits of taking kids to these big tournaments? Like, you're going across country, spending hundreds and hundreds of dollars. What's the benefit when you see them come home and compete at their local tournaments?
Okay, so I'm going to use Wrangler as an example. He loves archery. He's very invested, working his butt off, and then we take him. He goes over to his very first pro-am last year. I think we were at Metropolis. And, the first couple of days, Isaiah's out there practicing, and Wrangler is, hanging out in the house. The first day, he gets out there, experiences the pro-am, and by the end of that day, they're getting ready to load up and leave, and they're like, where's Wrangler at? The shoot's over. It's time to go home. He's out there in the yard practicing. After that, he's out there. They're like, oh my gosh, he went from practicing once or twice a week to 6-7 days a week. It's inspiring. It gives them just a sense of seeing all these other kids doing what they love and seeing how successful they are on the national scale. It's a huge motivator. And I'll tell you, one of my things isn't necessarily archery related, but I notice as much as we travel with our kids, the time you spend with them is phenomenal. Who gets to spend that much time with their teenage kid on the road, just hanging out, talking? I mean, you learn so much about them, you grow so much closer with them, and you get to be a part of what they're doing on such a personal level and with their best friends. And they meet kids from all over, and they're all so supportive of one another. I don't care if you're competing against them, you're still cheering them on.
Yep. It's camaraderie, and that's most people in the archery community are going to be helpful. They're going to be there for you when it doesn't go good. I know we had a couple kids had two. I know Zane had a rest malfunction and Jack. and we had our local Darton rep, Scott Hamlin, was out there middle of the practice range working on his bow, taking it apart, restringing the ripcord, had to rethread it.
Oh my
so
gosh.
we're doing bow surgery in the middle of a national pro-am, and you've got reps out there that are working with kids that are 10, 12, 14 years old, taking time out of their day, taking time away from their bow, their round, seeing their friends. And that's what archery is really, really all about at the end of the day. It's like we want to share this sport with people. It's not about really beating people. At least it's never been for me, because that's just kind of the way it goes.
Yeah.
But it's somebody that's going to be able to, like, hey, I know what you're going through. I did it last year. It's kind of like you got to take the loop over that way. You got to do this, put a twist in it there, scooch that up, scooch that over, and boom, you're back.
Yeah.
So imagine everybody was a well-versed mechanic for every road trip. Like, you got 4 mechanics going cross-country
Yes.
and the car breaks down. You're probably going to make it. You're
Yeah.
probably going to get there.
Well, and the camaraderie and the support that they have for one another within the kids, we really focus on the only person that can beat you is yourself. Like, no matter where you place, like, you're trying to do your best, and it's such a it strengthens, mentally and emotionally, and they don't want to beat somebody on their worst day. If I win, I want it to be again on your best day. I want to earn it, not just be handed it, and that's really important with the kids. So it's fun to see them. I mean, shoot, if somebody's got a breakdown and they've got a bow in the back of the car that'll fit, I've seen kids hand it to them going for nationals. They're also supportive of one another.
Well, I know we've talked a lot about the kids. Let's segue to the young adults. Tell us a little bit about how S3DA, US Archery, ASA, just archery in general, how does that prepare them for college, and what's it like having a senior? I guess he's a senior now.
No, he's a junior, but it's already hitting.
So what is it like when you're looking at colleges for your kid to go shoot archery at? Like,
It is-
what's that process?
It's kind of unbelievable. I mean, when you're not a traditional athlete, you might say, you kind of don't expect that. And when we got into archery, we certainly didn't know competitive archery was even an option. The first thing I'll say is S3DA, that stands for Scholastic 3D Archery. If you win state, you win nationals, or on the podium, I should say, as a young adult, you get handed a stack of scholarships. And it's a lot of money. Though it's different schools, you'd have to pick one. You can't combine them. But these colleges are recognizing what it takes to be at that level, and they want you there. So in the past, being a junior, that's when they can start talking to you. And some days my phone rings. I was driving down the road and it was a college coach from Missouri. Hey, heard about your kid. Love to talk to you. And I heard about your program. Who else do you have coming up? Because if you're bringing this up, there's got to be more coming. Isaiah got a message from another college the other day, and we're new to it, so we don't know what to ask, what to say, and reaching out to the other moms with college freshmen and going, how's this working for you? What do you think about it? What are we even supposed to say to them?
So what you're saying is you'll turn your kid over to a stranger to drive him cross country for a tournament.
That's coming.
But if they're going to keep him, we need to actually vet them a little. So for a weekend, you're not worried?
A weekend, I'd probably send him with some sketchy characters. He's a big boy. I think he'd make it.
Oh, if he got kidnapped, they'd bring him right back.
Listen, if you kidnap him, you worked hard for it. That's going to be a lot of legs and arms to stuff in the trunk.
I told that to one of our parents. Lyndall Wood was talking about his son Rhett, and he's like, I got another boy that tournament fishes, and they got ball games and this and that. And I was like, by the end of the year, you're going to have so many parents that are ready to transport them for you that you're not going to have to even take them every weekend. And that's the kind of community we're here to promote. Like, you don't have to take a busload of kids every single weekend unless you're Andrea.
Right.
But there are other parents that you can lean on that are going to be spending the same money in gas, and it doesn't matter if they have one kid or 4 in their truck.
You know what? That's why we got the van. Like, I've got a van, they've got a van. We're all just loading them up and taking kids. I've got Cody that I met them a year ago in November. And by the first weekend in January, loaded the kid up and took him to Albuquerque.
Yep.
He's traveled all over with us. When it's hard for parents to get away sometimes, and I'm going anyway. So, throw him in the back, and we'll find a way to make the equipment fit.
So what's your favorite story been? The one, oh hell moment, or the one that you didn't know if it was going to turn out okay, but it did? What's been the one that's, you're going to remember for years and years?
Man, I tell you what, the worst moment was honestly the frozen okie. So I tend to be an overdoer. I'm a take care of everyone kind of girl, and I knew the week before I was very sick. Oh yeah. And I show up Friday, and we go through it all, and I'm like, it'll be fine. It'll be fine if I can just stay upright, make it through Saturday, and that night, by Sunday morning, I could not lift my head off the pillow.
We thought she was dead.
It was close.
We'd already planned the memorial tournament.
Right? They were like, well, we'll make her a nice, archery headstone. I was there with you. It was bad.
Yeah, it was a rough weekend.
I don't miss anything. Like, I go, it doesn't matter how sick I am, but that time got me, and I just thought, what are they going to do? I'm supposed to judge, I'm supposed to organize, I'm supposed to do all of these things. And despite that, Jason took me by the range, and against his will, I bullied him into it a little bit so that I could make arrangements for things. And they said, take your butt to urgent care. We've got this. And, that one I really got to give to the moms, because they jumped in, filled in every gap. It went seamlessly. And that's when I went, okay, I don't have to be everything to everyone. That's my personality, but there's all these other moms out there willing to just jump in and make things happen. But I still hated being gone. It broke my heart, and I was pretty heavily medicated at that point, watching scores and just trying to keep up with what was going on.
It's a lot. It's a full weekend. You guys don't see all the things behind the scenes that they're moving targets in and out. It's like a range has all these targets, and we're going to move them out, move some different ones back in, because those are regulations.
Oh yeah, you got to follow all the rules and all the regulations. And USA Archery, they're pretty strict on things being uniform. We, Johannes and I, just for the last JOAD series, moving the 3D animals out, they're not light, and then pulling the big wooden stands and the bales in, and it was just him and I lifting away.
More hands make less work.
Yeah, they said, well, I hope you brought the muscle, and I was like, well, it's just me, but we'll make it work.
Shout out to Ken over at Archery Traditions.
Yes.
He's been a champ through this. They've had the Frozen Okie. It was renamed the Sean Thompson.
Well, it was Sean Thompson ran it with GPAC, and then it's always been the Frozen Okie, but then we've done kind of the memorial for him with the Sportsmanship Award.
There you go.
Which is always just the greatest thing to watch.
Or we'll have everybody always shooting for the gnome, which is the
angry German, and so you got to hit the most nines, because the angry German's 999.
Yes, U.S. Archery, they shoot the baby 10 ring, so it's an X for 10 and everything else for 9.
It's really easy to hit the 9, but it's quite difficult to win the gnome.
We had Austin McDowell shooting not to win, but shooting to win the most 9s.
Yeah.
He's like, I'm putting 13 clicks in my sight to the left and aiming at the middle.
Yes, the competition for that, we had adults and kids that were like, who cares if I win my division? I'm going for the gnome. And I think we had I don't remember what went down, but we had 2 of them that ended up getting the gnome because, I was gone and left Samantha in the lurch to figure it out in a hurry. So there was a little bit of a thing, and what's the kid from Joe's team? The one that's
Talon Denton.
Yes, and then Wrangler Trammell.
Yep.
And man, you've never seen a kid so excited to get a statue of a gnome.
This is a yard ornament for everybody at home. Is got the hat, the beard.
Yeah, it's the whole thing. It's very much just a garden gnome.
Golly. Well, Andrea, thank you for sitting down with us, and thank you for everything you're doing to grow and promote archery.
You as well. You're doing big things. You gotta pat yourself on the back for all the ASA, the Oklahoma Archery Podcast, Triple C. Archery's growing.
Yep.
It is moving in the right direction. There's so many hands on deck. There's so much room for everybody to blossom together and support one another, and it's really nice to see that happening.
it's good to be surrounded by good people.
Yes.
You know, it's a small enough community that the bad ones they don't stick around very long.
Yeah.
It's kind of a self-policing thing, and that's not to say we're cliquey or we're hard to get along with, but bad gas travels fast in a small town.
Yeah, and the one thing is, like, you know what, you show up as a new person, I guarantee you have a pile of new friends before you get back in that truck and head home.
Oh yeah.
And if you don't know, you show up to an ASA qualifier and you say, hey, I really don't know what's going on, here's my bow. There's going to be 10 people willing to say, hey, this is your division, let's go to the practice bags, and set you in the right direction.
Oh yeah. It's a good community. Y'all contact us on Facebook. Anything Twisted Arrow OK Archery.
Yes.
Is it just kids or is it adults as well?
Okay, so this year they twisted my arm. Jason and Cutter, honestly, were the ones that were like, hey, we want to be a part of this too. And so we added an adult division, or, you know, part of our team. So we've got you. You're on our team. And then we've got,
I don't know if I classify as an adult yet.
Listen, well, you know.
Mentally, I mean, I can vote, but
They go by the age on your birth certificate, on your driver's
I was
license.
gonna say,
so
you know,
make
Cutter
the
and Jason
cut.
just wanted to compete against kids.
Yes.
Me, I get beat by him enough already. I don't want any part of Jack Shaw or Isaiah or any of them.
Oh, goodness, no. And Jason, he really is kind of over that, because, you know, the kids shoot up around here. So they don't just mess around. Like, they come take the old guy's money, and they're... So Jason turned 49, and he's just counting down one more year, and I don't have to compete against these kids anymore. And then we've got Carrie, who has just been doing amazing this year. She hit her first 30 in Albuquerque. How you
go.
pull that off at the national shoot is just
And that's the
crazy.
USA Archery 30.
It's USA.
Yeah. That's baby 10.
tens.
X is 10,
Yes.
nothing else. Don't even think about it. Don't try. 23s or under. That's hard to
Oh
do.
yeah, little arrows and little tins, and she pulled it off. My favorite thing, you know, she's the mom, she's the adult, and when she does something great at the target, she'll take a picture and still sends it to her dad. I love that. I get so excited about that because we're all just that excited to be here and hang out and shoot our bows. And we come up on Thursday night. They travel, gosh, it's got to be what, from here to Sealing, over an hour.
Yeah.
And they make the trip every week.
Every week.
Just so we can all hang out and shoot.
We'll drive for it. You guys have a lot of resources out there. If you don't know about them, just start clicking on archery stuff on Facebook, and it'll start feeding you more archery stuff.
Man.
That's the good thing about social media. Well, no matter what you click on, you're going to see a little bit more of it. So if it's motorcycles and bass boats, hey, that might be your thing. But if it's bow hunting and tournament archery, give us a follow.
Absolutely.
Twisted Arrow, OK Archery, Triple C Archery, doing a lot of stuff around an archery range near you. Mm-hmm. Big stuff coming soon. So
Always.
y'all keep right here. I'm gonna go hit the bathroom break real quick, and we'll be right back. I'm gonna show you some more pictures of some big deer.
Thanks, Neil.
Y'all be good.
Yes, sir.
All right, everybody. We got, tell me if I get this wrong, the Oklahoma Okie right here, Justin DeHaas. He is a certified big deer killing son of a gun right out here in western Oklahoma. How you doing, bud?
Doing well.
Thanks for coming
Thanks
to
for having
Rack
me, Neil.
Madness today. Y'all are from out here. Your boy shoots at this program, and he's turned into a pretty good ASA shooter.
Yeah,
and
he's done well.
Where
He's
he
done
practices for the ASA is sitting
here.
about 15 feet up in a tree stand, dropping monster deer.
Well, that's a pretty good way to put it. Yeah.
Well, tell them how to raise these kids right, and tell us all the secrets to not only self-filming hunts, but growing and managing big deer.
Well, I tell you, you're talking about big deer. I'm going to talk about does.
There you go.
If you're not taking does, you're not going to kill big deer. Well, there's going to be some people kill big deer, but they've got to have the habitat, number one,
Okay.
to want to stay there, and we can't be overrun with 30 or 40 does and only 3 or 4 bucks. So our buck to doe ratio is pretty close to 2 does to a buck. And you read that it needs to be even 1-to-1 is the ideal situation, but we take does. I always tell people, and nobody wants to listen, but take those does early in season. Mm-hmm. I like to make sure those fawns are old enough to live, but our regulations is October the 1st. I don't take them October 1st, but I try and take as many as we can before the rut. Okay. I don't want the bucks breeding that doe and then she getting taken out. That took up that buck's energy.
There you go.
That doe is eating that buck's feed, whatever it is, food plot, a corn pile, the neighbor's wheat, our blackjack timber who produces the acorns. You got to have something there for your bucks to eat and your does. But if you're overrun with does, it's hard to see that big buck. You got to make them get up on their feet.
Yep. So you're of the school of thought that the less does, the more they're going to have to chase during the rut to breed.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So it should not be ladies' night at your hunting spot. I've always deer hunting for me was always real simple. See a deer, got an arrow, sharp broadhead. That's the one we're shooting. A lot of does early, and the last couple years I've had a good buck that I was chasing. Very fortunate. I say a good buck. He was a good buck to me. And I passed on a lot of does early on in the season, and that's hard to justify because I know conventionally that the more food there is to go around, the bigger that buck's going to grow next year. So tell people, what's the mentality from shooting does early? Because you see them come in all the time, and it's not like it's going to ruin your hunt,
Right.
But the buck could be 20 yards behind him. So tell everybody kind of how you justify that being a trophy whitetail hunter, but also prioritizing needing to take these slickheads out.
Well, if I've got 4 or 5 different farms I'm hunting. Sometimes you just like to go hunting, whether you're going to take anything or not. But if the wind's not right for me to go hunt that buck, I go hunt where the wind's right for me just to shoot a doe. That way I don't go overuse that area. And, the best thing we've got to help us out is game cameras. You can, whether it sends you pictures or whether you check it weekly, it gives us a pretty stinking good idea of what bucks are there because we might not see them with our own eyes. But I go out there with an intention that, okay, I'm going to kill this buck. Or I go with an intention that I'm going to harvest a doe in a different area, maybe just a quarter of a mile away, because I don't want to mess up that area. And when I say mess up, I have still harvested does and taken a buck 15 minutes later, 5 minutes later. So a lot of people think if you hear one snort, your hunt's over. I've heard them snort 50 times, and they've been out of bow range, and you still have a nice buck come in.
Yep.
And my level of buck is different than somebody else's level of buck. It's what makes each individual happy. That's the main thing. And we fill our freezers up every year. We'll take our 5 or 6 does and we'll take a couple bucks. And that's me when I say we. Then my boy or boys. But I encourage everybody to take 3 or 4 does. Take 1 buck. If you're going to get plenty of meat off of some does. You're also going to get double that meat off of a large mature buck. So
you're not going to get the mature buck unless you shoot the does.
Correct. And we're always told that a doe will run off her yearling. She'll move it to another area. So people might not agree with this, but if you harvest that doe that has a button buck, that button buck's not going to leave your area. There's nobody to push it away.
Okay.
Okay, so you've got an extra buck right there. The bad part about having button bucks walking around is a lot of people see, if they are out there to shoot a doe, they're looking at that first one that comes out. A lot of times a button buck is the first one. I was a victim of that. If you've hunted and taken a doe, you're probably going to be a victim of it. But take that doe, let her fawn stick around in that area. You're going to have bucks move in during the rut time period. You're going to have bucks as they get mature, they find an area they like. And, you know, sadly, we've had 4 or 5 bucks get run over this year that were nice.
Yep.
But we're always growing some, and there'll be some move in. But you got to take some of those does. I reached out. Used to have a company, and I had a secretary actually email James Kroll, Dr. Deer, about our theory of shooting that doe who has the button buck. Because maybe that'll make you keep more in your area.
Yeah, I'd never heard that they will run off a yearling to a different area. I never thought about that. But yeah, there's probably been quite a few deer that seen Mom go down at that corn pile I hunt over. It's one spot. It's 40 acres, and there's only 4 acres of trees on the back of it. So it's the old country honky tonk everybody goes to in the one horse town. Seen quite a bit of bloodshed.
Yeah.
If it was a dive bar, you'd just keep riding past it. You wouldn't stop in there for nothing. But that is an interesting theory, because we start dropping does, and I've seen. I mean, when the rut comes out and we start throwing corn out and throwing baits and scents and use my what's that called, my DKM scent kit, my scrape kit. Everybody called Donovan Clary out there. He can walk you through how to kind of set some of these things up. But yeah, we'd see all kinds of little button bucks. It's like, man, I got a lot of does and button bucks. What in the world? I guess I shot all their moms and they stayed there. I have only myself to blame.
Yeah.
And now it's my obligation to feed them corn until they're 5.5 years old.
That's right. Try and let them get mature.
Yep.
And
how do you like to shoot a young doe or an old doe?
I like to shoot a legal doe.
Any doe.
Any legal doe.
There you go.
And preferably if it's one that I know is a chronic snorter, she goes first.
Okay.
And, you know, I've argued with people. People tell me I'm crazy, and that's fine. But, you know, you've got all season long to kill a doe. My theory is always, why do we wait till the end? Let's take that doe. Let's let that buck have some better place to eat. Let's not take that doe before she's harvested. And you know, I raise cattle, which it's different, but we darn sure don't let the bulls out to breed the cows and then kill the cows.
Yep.
If we're going to get rid of a cow, we do it before we turn the bulls loose. So I've got to look at that as a little bit of the concept. I wish Dr. Deer would have answered the email there years ago, just to see what his perspective was on it, you know, but didn't get an answer. I guess right now, maybe the best thing we could do is reach out to Elon. Yeah. He seems to be solving lots of problems.
I was going to say, he's definitely got his nose in a whole bunch of new corners. So while he's sorting out all the other issues with the federal government, maybe he could fix our buck-to-doe ratio.
He could fix our buck-to-doe.
It doesn't take a scientist. It takes a bunch of bow hunters that like to hunt for 3.5 months. I know you're also just a little bit of a lever-action rifle enthusiast.
Yeah.
So if you are inclined to harvest more of your slick-headed deer, well, 45-70 do pretty good.
Oh, yeah. I've shot them with 45-70. We've got an old family gun that's a 40-82. The gun was an 1886 model, built in 1889. Taken down several with them. I've got into buying those new Henrys also. Actually, I've got a daughter-in-law who loves to buy me those Henrys for Christmas.
Oh, that's a good.
And she seems to buy the exact ones I'm looking for.
Bonus kids.
She's got a really good idea.
There you go.
A really good eye for them. So I have had a blast with those lever actions. Whenever I was young, if I used to rifle hunt, I had the biggest rifle with the best scope where I could reach out and touch somebody. But I don't know, the past 4 or 5 years, everything I've taken's been inside of 30 yards. I go hunt bow stands. I take my lever action rifles without a scope, and I go have fun.
It's fun to take it back to something primitive. I always enjoyed muzzleloader hunting because it's like, man, you get one and you better reload it quick.
Yep. And you darn sure don't take one of those warning shots first.
No. I usually 15 yards and in with the muzzleloader. That's pretty safe for me.
Yep.
I was going to say, you've got a YouTube channel out there. Tell everybody what the handle is and kind of what that's about.
The Oklahoma Okie. I actually had a cousin from Texas. It used to just be my name, and my cousin from Texas just loved watching some of my gun videos. And he said, you need to call yourself the Oklahoma Okie. So that's where that come from. I've got gun videos on there. I've got videos of cattle. I've got videos of hunting, all kinds of deer hunts. The only place I went to out of state, I went to Texas and went to Alabama. And I'll be hunting in one of those other states, and they're like, we can't believe you shot a doe. Well, why not? You know, they're legal. I come down here to take something. You're not always going to see a big buck in an area that you don't know, and you only get a chance to hunt for 2 or 3 days. Of course, spring and summer, I'll put some fishing videos on there. We'll plant some food plots throughout the year also. Just stuff like that's what you'll find on my channel. And it's always kid-friendly, but it is open to the public. Some of those kid-friendly ones, you know, kids can get on there and comment on mine. Some of them, kid-friendly video, they can't comment because of YouTube's rules and regs.
Yep. Got to play by somebody else's rules, unfortunately.
Yes.
So you've got quite a bit of experience in self-filming your hunts.
Oh yeah.
Talk about the guys out there that are new to hunting, might be new to bow hunting. What's some good tips and tricks for self-filming? What do you do and what do you not do?
I've got a camera bag that I should have brought in here, and I could have showed some. The only thing I carried in here was a GoPro, but I use a GoPro I'll mount it somewhere on the tree stand, or in whatever stand I'm in, I'll mount it facing me. The GoPros past about 20 yards don't get very good footage. By the time you edit that video, you know, the GoPros are not intended for farther out there stuff. So I use the GoPro for up close. I've got some, I'm at a blank right now. I've got 2 different cameras that you can zoom in for up to 30 power with. Sony's what they are. One of them's a Sony 405 and one of them's a Sony 675. You can buy those online for $300 to $500 just about every day. And they're actually do great video quality, but the quality of the audio is not as good as these GoPros. So I use the audio GoPro.
Okay.
And I use the video for longer range stuff. And just like I said, we're generally inside of 30 yards anyway, but the GoPros just don't do it for that distance. Okay. So those I can zoom in. I've got some that are mounted to a tree and they're on an arm that I can move. Of course, just about all of those cameras, just like this one here, the bottoms of them will have a 1/4 inch by 20 mount on just about every camera you've got. So I've got multiple mounts. I carry multiple cameras with me. Cold weather, your batteries are going to go quicker than warm weather. Take extra batteries. Make sure you got plenty of SD cards with you because you never know. If there is trouble to it, I've run into it. I've filmed some of them with my phone because I run out of battery on the cameras that I had, and some of my actual harvest shots were with my cell phone. That's not intended because cell phones don't have as big a sensor as the actual video cameras, but you got to work with what you got at the time.
I had a buddy that had his target buck inside 20 yards and couldn't get it on camera, so he didn't shoot it. Mm-hmm. And I said, we can take a lot of pictures after you run an arrow through him.
Well, the last few years, if I can't get it on video, I let it be. And some of the footage is shakier than I wanted to be. Some of it, we've got a legal hunting time. Let's say the legal time is 5:30 for sunset. So 6 o'clock, you're done. Mm-hmm. Usually about 5:45, the cameras don't pull in enough light to do a good job. I've shot a few, and then I've went home, and you could see it on your camera screen, and you got home and you put it on the TV or you put it on your computer, and you're like, oh my gosh, I just put through the time and effort, and I had a blast. And that last 15 minutes, it's all dark.
Yep.
You might see it on your screen while you're out there hunting, but if you really want to get into putting them online for people to watch, and my channel's small, but it's growing. I've gotten paid for a year or better on it, and it just, the more content that I put out, the more viewers you get. Mm-hmm. But you got to have some good videos. Your audio's got to be good, and you got to be able to break the footage up with different scenes. That's why I keep a camera on me. I keep multiple cameras in the stands, so keep people's attention.
So go back in time, back in the day, back when we were young, you'd see all these hunting videos, and it's like, did they not edit out anything? I mean, I saw one lady miss a deer or go shoot, went through it and hit another deer. They tracked the first deer. Here's the deer. Here's the harvest, the kill, everything else. Never said a word about the other deer that arrow went through and stuck in the back hind leg. So, as you're out there curating film, what do you look for? Like, how do you know what to put out, and like what do you edit out? What do you?
If somebody's just getting into it, and I wished I knew this when I started, okay, because my cameras are not high dollar, but they're good enough to get good content out. I could spend $1,000, I could spend $2,000 and still get the same picture, okay, same video.
Okay.
But then if you wanted to spend $5,000 or $10,000, it's going to get better. But if I would have known how to edit things to begin with, my videos would have taken off quicker. Because my boys, I filmed them shooting several, but I didn't know at the time how to even cut 10 seconds out of the middle of it. People don't like looking at the same screen unless they're engaged in the conversation for over about 7 to 10 seconds at a time. So if you can blend that and go to something else, it keeps somebody's attention. And if you watch TV, we all do, TV changes about every 3 to 5 seconds. They're always on a different screen, a different camera angle. So you've got to do that with your videos too, unless you've just got nonstop action. Carter, he took this buck. He's walking over this way. Can we get him in here? Yeah. So this was Carter's first archery buck this year. Well, his first compound bow buck.
Bring that thing over here.
And he just had it officially scored.
Look at that. What a deer.
For Pope and Young.
Oh my goodness.
What did it score?
They're adding it up.
They're adding it up.
Even the kickers are symmetrical. His brow tines go up so much they fold over. He's got all kind of trash on the base. That is a stud deer.
So Carter's 15, and this is 100% true.
Pull a chair up.
Last year he was watching this buck. Well, a year before he was watching this buck. We live in the country, so fortunately he can drive to his own stand a bunch of the time, a mile from the house.
Yep.
He comes home all the time. Dad, I kept seeing that real nice wide buck. Should I have shot him? Well, show me the video. He'd show me the video, and I'd be like, well, Carter, if you've got to talk yourself into it, you probably aren't going to be happy with it. So he kept letting him be, and there was another nice 9-point that was more narrow. We watched both of those deer all year long, and then they shed. They go to regrowing. Carter picks this buck out. The other one is actually bigger, the other 9-point. We're figuring this is a 145-inch deer as we're watching him grow. We're thinking the other one's 150 to 155 inch.
Okay.
So Carter goes hunting first day of bow season. You want to tell it?
Come on in here.
Get on in here, young'un.
Trade me spots.
Tell us how that first day went.
So just trying to get my first bow buck, go about an hour, and then hadn't really seen anything. Then the other buck that I was wanting to pass came out, and this one, and I think another 8-point was following him. And this one kicked off to the right, and was kind of wanting to see if he'd get to a lane where I could shoot. And the other one stayed right in there at like 16 or 17 yards and kind of tried to pull back, and he just moved around too much where I couldn't get him.
But this other one's the probably 150 to 155 inch buck, and he's videoed him the whole time. He videoed this hunt here. It was a self-filmed hunt, and he's 15, so.
Golly.
But anyways, just could never get a shot off on the other one. Then come back, I think 3 days later, and go about the whole time not seeing anything. And about 15 minutes before dark, I see him and another one of our shooter 8-points walk out at like 50-ish, and figured they'd just go away. And 8-point came this way, and he followed. So
That was a mistake, wasn't it?
That was a mistake, that's right.
Look at the height on that thing. I don't know if that camera can get that, but look how wide that deer is.
Yep.
What's
And
that? What's that inside spread?
I think it was 21.
And hey, the thing of it is, show it just like you did.
Like
we-
try to get it in the.
You know, it's a
that.
controversy with everybody who knows anything about the Rampolla buck. I always said we was watching that buck. I know he's way smaller, but he's got this very similar as that Rampolla buck that was killed in '98.
Yeah.
So I had kind of nicknamed him the wide one, the Rampolla buck. And of course I know he's nowhere near as wide, but he's got similarities.
Yeah.
And his tines grow out a little bit. But Carter arrows him at what, 15, 16 yards? And we were unable to find blood after the arrow come out. So I went out on horseback the next morning and found him.
I remember that.
And
Drug him out on
yeah,
horseback.
and then drug him out on horseback. Let me tell you this, dragging him out on horseback is way healthier for a fat man than dragging him out by hand. And Carter had to miss a little bit of school with that, but Carter has taken probably 35, 40 deer throughout all the years.
Not in that.
A bunch of them's been with rifles, some of them's been with crossbow, a few of them's been with black powder, and
And you never had to bail him out at the police station, did you?
that's right. We didn't have to bail him out at the police station. And both of my older boys, they've taken their share of good bucks as well. But this one was really special. 15 years old, self-filmed. You can watch it on my YouTube channel. You can also watch it on Carter's. Yours is just your name, isn't it? Carter doesn't really try and promote his. I think he's in that teenage stage of being a little bit embarrassed. But
Look at that deer. That is insane.
Yeah.
What county?
Major.
Major County?
Yep. It's a
Major
sticker.
league.
It's a sticker capital of the world, Major County.
Oh yeah.
We've got sandburs that grow, and they'll stick in you an inch deep.
and there's no big deer left anywhere.
Yeah, all
So
the big deer are gone,
they're
folks.
gone, but all accounted for.
Yep.
There was only 6 of them, and we shot every one of them.
Yep, yeah. You know,
Well,
Neil, I was walking in here today, and he's probably already gone, but I brought a couple deer up. One of them was a 150-inch 9-point. One of them was a 128-inch.
You could grab one of them.
Was he a 9 or a 10-point also? Go grab that big one. Anyways, I see a guy, the biggest one. Mine.
The biggest one? You mean that's not the biggest one? Look at that deer. I'm trying to get a good camera angle on him, but I mean that's a stud.
Well, you know, whenever he didn't shoot the other one, I'm like, why in the world did you not? He said, well, Dad, he really didn't hold still great. And plus, you told me he was not the oldest buck of the group. So he said, I wanted to shoot the oldest buck of the group. So this was an archery deer of mine back in 2020. And it's the one that scored 128 tonight. But this is the Carter couldn't figure out which the big one was, but
Golly, you can't even.
anyways, that's
hand
pretty
around
good
that.
mass, and this was in the late 90s, also once again in Major County.
I think you can tell by the.
Yeah,
the
it's got
shield.
it's got a little. I'm going to get after my wife when we get home. She flies around all the time on a broom, but she hadn't been dusting this thing the way she needed to. Travis, you know how it is. But Carter did not shoot the biggest buck of the two.
Okay.
And I think that's the most remarkable deal. I mean, he sat here tonight and he said, well, it didn't quite stand still the best. I watched the video. It was in there for 5 minutes and 4 seconds from 11 to 17 yards. I'm like, why in the world did you not shoot him? Well, Dad, you told me he was younger than the wide one.
I
So,
actually think I told you that.
so he's like, the wide one's the one I was after because he's the oldest. I'm like, nobody's going to pass that deer.
Yeah.
If that deer comes over to where I'm hunting a mile away, Dad's going to shoot him. But to this day, we don't know of anybody who got him.
Okay.
And we're right in the middle of the shed season for the bucks right now. We had a nice buck get run over yesterday, and he's already shed 5-inch pedicles. Now, this right here, folks, if you can see, we're talking about 5.5 inches. I'm not sure where the paperwork is, but it's going to be 5.5 or 6 inches. And you notice the base is larger than the pedicle. So it's the buck that's laying there dead right now has a 5-inch pedicle.
Okay.
And his buck, or I say his, we call it his buck at home, the one he passed, was about one of the only ones that had mass like that. So we hope it's not him, but we don't know.
Gotta wait and find out. See
That's right.
See who's here and what they start sprouting out June, July, August.
Yeah, we've seen some actually in turkey season. There in the late April, early May, we'll see them start to have 2 to 3 inches worth of growth.
Okay.
And then in June, and their fishing season you know, we're fishing all summer long, but they're in the middle of July. They're pretty much there. They're going to harden up after that, but the growing part is pretty much over for our area, mid to late July.
Okay.
But we look forward to seeing their antler growth every year. And this buck, folks, 128 inches. He was a 3-year-old that was on the pass list. Now, he might have been somebody else's trophy, and at one time he would have been my trophy. But the deer come in with a broken leg. It was in late season.
Yep.
I actually text my oldest boys. I'm like, he's in here. He's got a broken leg. I don't want to shoot him. But I ended up shooting him. That was in 2020.
Yep.
So I just brought him up just because the game wardens was here. And
Cause of death listed was COVID, wasn't it?
Yeah, he was a COVID death. Yeah, he was a COVID death in 2020.
That's something that you got. If you see one of them that's banged up,
Yep.
post rut, late season,
Yep.
it changes everything you've said from May till October.
Yep.
It's like this is his year. No, he gets another year, and you
Yep.
see him come in on 3 legs or a big
Yep.
hole in him, or somebody else has run an arrow or a crossbow bolt through him.
Yep.
You got to make that call. It's not I wouldn't call it a management buck. It's just a conservationist buck.
Yeah, it was the best thing to do, and you know, here we're talking about Carter's deer, and every parent's proud of their kids, but I kept wanting him to rifle hunt this year, and after his archery deer, he was like, Dad, I'm going to public land hunt. He's just 15, so I had to drive him everywhere. But he public land hunted after that and was in pursuit to get a mature buck. Could have taken several smaller, younger bucks, chose not to. But he put in a lot of time in public land archery. I went with him and filmed from a distance. We saw some really good bucks, and boy, just as soon as you think it can happen, public land's different than private. You get somebody come walking through there, they might have had a beagle, they might have been a duck hunter, there might have been anything, but everybody's got the right to be out there. But he put in valiant time trying to get a public land when it didn't work out, but it will in time.
It'll happen.
Yeah.
I got a lot of buddies out there that'll tell you public land hunting is it's a different beast.
Yep.
You're going to have to put the sits in. You got to put the hours and the miles in.
Yep.
So, and I do think those deer score a little better. I mean, looking at them on the wall.
Yeah, and whatever. They got your paperwork done? Let's hear it.
Says final score 137 and 3/8.
137 and 3/8 Pope and Young.
Yep.
Your first Pope and Young buck. So he would even make, here in Oklahoma, we've got Cy Curtis, Cy Curtis would be for anything other than a traditional archery or compound. So he would even make Cy Curtis, which is like rifle, crossbow, primitive, black powder. So, but it takes 125 to make Pope and Young. It takes 135 to make Cy Curtis, and then 170 for Boone and Crockett.
God, that's a step up. People say he was 174 or 175, and it's like, I don't know if you've ever seen a 170. I don't know if you've ever seen a 160 inch, but they're like that.
Yep.
Got to carry that mass up. Got to carry the length, and that deer right there is the thing that saved it was the beams. That one sitting here on the table. I mean, he didn't have mass, he didn't have width, but he had tines and he had beams. It's like you can carry it into the. I mean, 39. I thought he was 41 when we first scored him. That'll carry. I mean, he needed at least a year, but he wasn't going to get it from me.
Well, once again, shoot what makes a guy happy.
Oh yeah.
And I say that, but in all honesty, I see guys every year that some of them are neighbors, and you hear them shoot, and you talk to them, congratulate them. They shot a 6-point, they shot an 8-point, and it's a yearling buck. And they say, we don't know why his antlers weren't any bigger. You know, we see you shoot big bucks, but they legitimately think that's a mature deer. It's not a mature deer. But once a person learns it and realizes it, it's a different game for them. And then I'm always kind of like, well, in my mind, I'm thinking, why didn't they just shoot a doe? But it's their tag. And then I usually ask them, did you see any does? Oh, yeah, we saw 14 does, and then this buck come along. And he's just but it's to each their own also.
Yep.
I'm not buying their tag. They're not buying mine.
Yeah. I ain't found one yet that I've managed to fit the antlers in a crock pot for a roast.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
Y'all go shoot your does. I mean, you got guys out here that are telling you there's 140 and 50 and 60 inch deer running around, and they're telling you how to get those deer, and all you got to do is kill deer to get it. Okay. I mean, what other problem can you solve? I got flat tire. How you gonna do that? Get more flat tires and fix it? No. How do you kill bigger deer? Kill more does. Get better at it. You know, don't waste a good shot on them, but you know,
Yep.
put a lethal one on there.
Yeah.
Speaking of practicing, you had a good year at the ASA. I saw this kid come out. First time I got to shoot with him was at Choctaw Archery. Shout out to my buddy Haskell there. And I was like, where'd this kid come from? He was up there shooting in the adult known 45 class. And they're like, you never heard of that kid before, but he's dropped monster deer. And tell everybody that might not have ever shot tournament archery, like as a bow hunter, what's it like to shoot the ASA?
It's pretty fun. A lot of competition, meet a lot of pretty cool guys. Met Neil, of course.
A lot of cool guys and Neil. The kids like to pick on me more than anybody ever has in my life. I don't know where they got that, but we like having the kids come out, and I mean, they're hanging with adults. That's the thing. It's like you don't understand. This kid's killed bigger deer than a lot of grown men will ever see, but during the summer, he's also shooting in an adult class with all the same grown men. So it gives you that opportunity to get what you want out of the sport. If you want to go, if you're a 13-year-old kid and you want to go compete with the 13-year-olds, there's a class for you. But if you've been around the block a time or two and you've seen monster deer hit the dirt with a bow, foaming deers, that ain't really much of a challenge. So Carter is an example of somebody who's experienced as an archer, he's experienced as a bow hunter, and he comes to our qualifiers and state championships and stuff like that. He's competing against the grown men because that's what he wants competition-wise. So I always want to point that out when we get a chance to talk to some of these kids that are, tournament archers, they're bow hunters, they shoot right here at the Autry Tech Center. They're all out there, and they're a resource that you guys can use. So, I mean, you might not have a lot of friends that can keep up with you with a bow, but you'd be great to say, hey, man, I know Carter, he could probably show me a thing or two.
Yep.
Or, I got over there, and, man, they sure did give me a crash course in what not to do in the deer hunting woods. So I always want to give people a chance, tell them all the secrets to it. Tell them what's the key to performing with your bow under pressure. What's the secret, man?
A lot of practice, but nothing really can prepare you for whenever a buck actually steps out. I mean,
It all goes out the window, doesn't it? He made that shot 150,000 times in the backyard all summer, and here he is at 17 yards.
Yeah. I've sat right there with him, throughout the years. First deer he shot, he was sitting on my lap, 6 years old, So I've sat there with him for years, and honestly, I've probably filmed close to a third, maybe half of your hunts. And I get more nervous than he does. Of course, I'm a dad. I'm excited and everything for him, but he's taken a bunch throughout the years. And I've got some videos. You're probably 7 or 8 years old, and it's funny. He shoots a nice 130-inch buck with rifle, and then he just turns to me, and he hands me the empty. And I'm like, give me 5, buddy. But he stayed pretty calm and cool in that moment. But he's been raised around deer. He's been exposed to a lot, probably seen more than most adults do.
Yeah.
the most nervous I've been has been the one someone loaded the wrong ammo on.
Oh yeah, we had a little bitty buck, had 19 points. And once again, this 19-point buck, Carter kept seeing him the year before. We probably saw him a dozen times. And Carter, I'm sitting there and I'm like, it's your deer, you do what you want. And Carter's like, that's a pretty nice one. Probably Dad, do you think he's a 135-inch deer? I think he probably is. Dad, I think he looks young. And I'm like, yep, he is. Well, should I shoot him? If you want to shoot him, Dad, I think I'll let him be till next year. Well, he was a mainframe 10, and the next year he is split everywhere. He's got 19 points. And we take black powder guns. Carter is wanting to take his brother's gun, which is not loaded. My gun's loaded. They both take different ammo. They both take different loads of black powder. I'm in a hurry after school to get him out there. We load his brother's gun with different types of ammo, different loads of black powder, and it never went through my mind. Now, he'd shot a coyote like at 132 yards with my black powder gun just days before. He sells it over this big buck's back. A few days later, the big buck gets a few points broke off. He's like, you know what, Dad? He stayed around last year. We'll just let him regrow for next year. 3 miles, and about 2 weeks later, another neighbor killed him. So that happens. But back to the whole point of that story is he passed that buck, and he really got big, really got big. But sometimes just that one more year does it all.
And you got to be happy if the neighbor kills him. You know,
We cried for weeks.
as much as it hurts your soul, you got to pick your bow. You got to pick your bow hunters up.
Yep.
You know, you got to be happy for him. It could have been a 6-year-old kid or a 76-year-old man.
Yep.
But he's a stud. He hit the dirt. If it was a clean kill,
Yep.
more power to you.
Yep, that is correct.
It's
That is
like-
correct.
it's hard.
And some of the times we shoot the neighbor's deer. We don't know it, but I mean, there was one in here tonight that looked like a twin to one I've got on the wall at home. And I told the guy, I said, I've got one that's just like that. Either scored 143 or 144. I didn't know what deer it was when I shot it.
That's what I
It
did.
just showed up, and I shot it, and it turns out it's one that we didn't know about, but the neighbors a couple miles away did. So it comes and goes. But that guy got his score tonight, and it was 144 inches.
There you
Both
go.
of them are 11 pointers, and I mean, they are spot on the same deer. Turns out he hunts 2 miles from us.
Genetics.
Yeah,
Genetics.
genetics,
Yep. You get a lot more done talking to your neighbors. Hey, you ever see this deer? Well, you're scared of letting them know that deer's there. But and the other time, man, you won't lay awake at night knowing your neighbor popped him.
Yep.
So.
That has been probably people look at my YouTube and my social media and they think, why would he let anybody know what type of deer he's got? In all honesty, it has helped me out. My neighbors started seeing those videos and they started calling me or texting me while they were hunting. We just saw that buck you called so-and-so. Really? Send me a picture. So they send me a picture. It's the same buck. They took it with their cell phone out of the stand. And I said, are you going to shoot it? No, we let it go because we saw on your video you let it go.
Yeah.
Well, then they know if you're letting it go, they can let it go, and that buck might be 10 to 15 inches bigger the next year.
There you go.
So it actually helps to talk with your neighbors. Some of them aren't going to listen. Some of them are still going to do their deal. And I'm talking about some of those neighbors not listening. Maybe I'm the guy who doesn't listen.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, everybody's got a different philosophy with it.
Yep.
Yeah.
You got to maximize potential any way you can, and
Yep.
that's usually working together. You know, I don't want if I see a 210 inch, probably not going to tell too many people till I got him dead. But if it's 125 inch and you think he needs a year, and you'll put that out there, well, it shows everybody that it's okay to give him a year. Let him get to 135, 145, 100. Like if you want to shoot a really truly 5.5-year-old, 6.5-year-old deer, he's going to get seen before. I mean,
That's right.
He's not just a ghost in the night, and some of them are. They're nocturnal, and you never see them in daylight. And more power to them, but it really gets down to what is by your definition, what is that mature trophy deer? So,
and what I've found out about nocturnal, okay, that nocturnal buck that we only get at 2 in the morning, I've got enough farms at 6 o'clock in the evening, he's on his feet 1.5 miles away.
Yeah.
And he's over here at 2 in the morning. So if we're only limited to one farm, we probably don't know that. We might only be able to get him when that doe's in heat, and but that nocturnal part, they're on their feet somewhere in the daylight. We just don't know where.
Yep.
But because of having multiple farms, we're able to figure a little bit of that out.
oh yeah, you piece it together.
Yeah, put them together.
He's sleeping on mine, but somewhere he's in the middle of the daylight.
That's right. That's right. Yeah.
Well, guys, I appreciate you sitting down with
Yeah.
us.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Thank you for the education. You stay off my deer lease. I've seen what you do to them. But I appreciate you guys. If y'all want to come meet up, Autry Tech Center, Oklahoma ASA, you can hang out with people that we want to make you a better hunter. We want to make you better at what you're doing, and we want to learn from you. If you got a new trick that's like, hey, I found a great way to rig this up, come share it with them. It's like we all get better together. These are two guys. Oklahoma Okie for the YouTube channel. You're on Facebook and Instagram as well?
Really not Instagram.
Not Instagram.
Facebook, yep.
Facebook and YouTube. Y'all give them a follow, give them a like, give them a share, and tune in next year to see which one of them's going to kill the bigger deer. I don't know how it's going to. Somebody's got to come out on top, but I don't know who it's going to be.
Hey, thanks for having us.
No problem, guys.
Yep.
Thank you
Enjoy.
both again. Appreciate you.
See ya.
Okay.
All right, everybody, right in the middle of the action, I want to give you guys a chance to meet one of your Oklahoma ASA hosts for this year. We got Cale Gibson from the Back 80 Bow Shooters out of Cherokee, Oklahoma.
Yes, sir.
They're up north, also in Big Deer country. So tell everybody what made you start an archery range up out there?
Well, I was shooting, me and my son was out shooting one day, and we talked about 3D shooting, and we went to a couple of them, and he said it'd be a good deal to have one started, so me and another guy got one started.
There you go.
That's how it all came about.
It only takes about 2, doesn't it?
Oh, yeah.
There you go. So you had a new archery range. You went and bought a whole brand new trailer full of targets.
Yes, sir.
And what you guys do is it the first weekend of every
first weekend, yes, other than the first 2 months here because I can't read a calendar.
There you go. Hey, we scheduled them on Easter, Mother's Day, Father's Day, everything last year. So I understand it's like, man, there's only so many dates to go around. But they've got every first weekend up at Back 80, they're going to have a range set for you guys to go get you some practice. We want to talk about practice, the old Allen Iverson joke. You also do a little bit of bow fishing.
I do, yes.
So let me get that mic out of the way. There we see that logo.
Nocturnal Nightmare, right there, yeah. We got a Facebook page you can look us up on.
There you go. Tell everybody the secret to bow fishing.
Aim low.
Aim low.
Aim low. If you think you're aiming low enough, aim lower.
There you go. What, mostly gar?
Gar, carp, few drum, all non-game fish.
Non-game fish. So what's the benefit of taking those out of your local bodies of water for everybody?
It helps all the species of game fish because they're bottom feeders and they will do a pretty good number on fish eggs on the bottom of the lakes and rivers.
And disturbing the nests and the beds and everything else?
Yep.
I got you. So y'all's ASA qualler is July 5th and 6th, I believe?
Yes.
Everybody needs to be at that one. That is going to be one of your last opportunities here at the ASA to get some foam practice in before the state championships, Oklahoma, Texas, Kansas. So they've got that last weekend in July, or that first weekend last on the schedule. Come out and get some practice. Come out and meet some new people. We had a little bit of rain last year that kind of hurt us just a little bit. Had a pretty good tire pull. Had people trying to get across the field. I think he's going to make it. Kale's like, no chance he's going to make it. We'll pull you out with a side by side even if it does rain, but hopefully the weather will be just a little bit better in July. If it's not an ASA shoot, they're still going to be out there every first weekend of the month. So what are we in now? End of February?
Yep, so we have one in 2 weeks.
Okay, it's coming up
not this weekend, but next weekend.
There you go. So if you're up here north and you think there's not any archery around you, I just want you guys to go follow them along. Y'all got a Facebook page.
Yep, Facebook page.
There's a schedule floating around out there. Just need to be aware they're about 30 minutes away from Autry.
Yeah, about 35 to 40 minutes, yeah.
Okay. So how's it been shooting indoor with goofballs like Carson back here?
Well, I give him a hard time for shooting big fat shafts, because I shoot my hunting setup.
Hunting setup year round. And it paid off for you this year. Yep. You killed big deer.
I did.
Did you get him scored tonight?
I did not. He's at the taxidermist, so I didn't get him scored.
There you go. And he also went to Kentucky and got you one.
No, a buddy of mine did. We went up there, but I was not successful. A buddy of mine was.
There you go.
He shot a 145-inch in velvet. So.
Well, if you're anywhere up north around Cherokee, give Cale a shout. Nocturnal Nightmare bow fishing. It works out great because you can't shoot deer or foam deer at night, but you can sure bow fish.
That's right.
We'll keep you shooting a bow year round. I think we're just about to cut it short here. We got everybody playing with the new Dart and Exodus SD Pro behind me there, so I'm going to go be some adult supervision. But y'all be good. Come show your local archery ranges some support. These guys are out here setting ranges, taking thousands and thousands of dollars worth of targets up the hill and down the hill and rinse and repeat up and down over and over again just so you guys can have a better chance of killing a big deer this fall. So follow us along. Back 80 bow shooters out of Cherokee, Autry Tech Center. We got a lot going on in Oklahoma. Check that dart and that. What's that, the 33? Anybody need a Dart and Sequel 33, come on down here and shoot one of them. They are a fantastic platform. I know you like your bow tech, so before we let you go, tell everybody what your hunting setup is, and if that's your tournament setup as well, tell them why you shoot the same bow all year.
I shot the CP30 up till 2 weeks ago. I bought the Proven 34. I shoot it year round just because I shoot archery to be better for hunting aspects and making ethical shots is what I'm in it for.
So what he's saying is even if you don't have a tournament bow or a target bow, there's all kind of stuff you can do in 3D archery. It's no excuse to stay home. Don't be intimidated. You know, there's people out there that we just want to shoot deer, and then there's people that want to go travel the world and go to big high-level tournaments. There's something out there for everybody.
Absolutely. Don't ever be intimidated.
Bring your kids, bring your wife, bring your family. It's a family sport. We will make it accessible. I think I had that last year. They had somebody getting drove around on the side-by-side for all the way throughout the range. I said, if you're an old fat man and out of shape and dehydrated in July, we'll get you on and off the course. It ain't going to be the end of you. Nobody's going to die out here. So get your bows, get ready, follow these pages on social media, and we'll take you back next time. Thanks, buddy.
Thank you.
Appreciate you, man.